Hello, chat. Today's October 27th, 2020. Blah, blah, blah. We're on the cusp, and today we're doing government and security news.
One more week.
Till November?
Oh, I guess it's more than 1 week, isn't it? No.
Is it?
Not from
No.
the 27th.
Hang on, I'm looking at...
One more week until AMD launches some new CPUs?
Well, they might. They might not. Yeah, it'll be...
You'll have to trade them to the Warlord, Wendell.
No, it'll be, exactly 1 week, because it's Tuesday.
Oh, yeah. Super Tuesday.
They probably won't figure anything out till that Thursday or Friday. And then the fires.
Right in time for the weekend, so everyone can, get off work. And...
Finish up work, maybe take a quick shower, and then fill your Molotovs. Today, we're going to talk about some government news that are other reasons that you should maybe be starting fires, but people don't care as much about these things. And that's why we bring them to you, to expand awareness. And oh boy, do we love expanding awareness about one Ajit Pai. Now, this story is fantastic because if you remember the whole, hey, Ajit Pai, you're in the pocket of the telecom companies. And he was like, listen, I don't have the authority to do anything about the telecom companies. It's not my business. The FCC is not in the business of reining in the telecom companies. That's the FTC. You understand? Not my job, which makes this really weird.
Ars Technica reports that the FCC has cited Title II. Title II? What? In defense of helping Trump's attack on social media? He's literally saying that Twitter is a common carrier.
But not Comcast. Twitter, yes. Comcast, no.
I mean, we're early in the program to start screaming, but I'm ready to just scream into the void already.
So let me get this straight. Comcast is not a common carrier, and they're free to block Netflix and exercise editorial control of the IP addresses that you're able to get to.
So far, 100% correct.
But Twitter is not allowed to do that.
You have it exactly figured out.
Wow. That is incredible.
So his opponents say, obviously, the language is pretty clear. You don't have the authority to do this. And then the lawyer, it wasn't Pai himself, it's Johnson, the lawyer for the FCC, goes to great lengths to twist the words and reshape them and cut them and move them where they need to be and make some sort of abomination that should not live.
I feel like that this level of mental gymnastics only lends credence to the fact that we were right the entire time that companies like Comcast are in fact common carriers and should be subject to common carrier requirements.
But more importantly, that Ajit Pai is in the pocket of those companies. Otherwise, how could you make such a disingenuous argument, excluding one obvious group and including another much less obvious group? Now, Krista, the house hunt continues, right?
Right.
This headline will warm your heart because I know that you're looking at rural homes. And guess what's not going to happen until next year? Maybe next year.
Maybe.
Who knows?
If we're lucky. FCC to delay 9 billion rural broadband push to fix data flaws.
I don't know why he's doing this, because he's like, we're going to fix the maps that he's been saying have no problems this entire time.
Yeah, that's weird. Seems like maybe this is kicking the can because if Trump loses, he's out almost for sure. If Trump wins, then maybe he can just go back to the nonsense.
Man, you know what would be nice for all those kids who are out of school right now? Having decent internet.
I saw those stories of kids going to McDonald's and Starbucks to do their schoolwork. Richest country in the world, folks. This might be another explanation to your question, and that is, when you're at the finish line or when you're being pushed out the door, possibly, you want to cram as much toner fluid into your pockets and paper clips and ink pens and stuff. When it's all about to end, you do as much as possible. Now, this is kind of a broad story, but there's two things in particular that, as our audience, you're probably going to be interested in here.
New York Times. Oh, no.
Damn MSN.
A regulatory rush by federal agencies to secure Trump's legacy. So this is talking about all of the changes that they're trying to push through with regulatory changes, including the FCC thing.
But the two big ones here are the gig worker, the Uber Lyft type of stuff. Trump wants it to be like, no, you're not an employee. You don't get any of the insurance protections and stuff like that. You literally, it's the way that Uber and Lyft intended it. That's
you
what
are
he
a
wants.
serf. You cannot own land.
The other thing is data, especially biometric data. And guess where they land on that? Basically, we track everything and keep it forever.
We own you.
Yeah.
And everything about you.
You came up with an idea that makes money. We own that because we own you. That's how that works.
Some of the most fun reading this past week has been the Hunter Biden extravaganza. They just keep rolling out more and more of it, and it is interesting.
Biden 2, Electric Boogaloo.
Who knows if, I mean, I don't think there's much doubt that it's true at this point. No one has denied
Wait, seriously?
it. They won't deny it.
Tell me, in all your years in IT, if someone came in, dropped off a laptop, you didn't take any contact information, and then you found child porn on it, and you didn't report that to authorities, would you still have a job?
But apparently he did give it to the FBI.
I thought he gave it to Rudy Giuliani.
That was much later. He gave it to the FBI first, and they did nothing.
So he's distributing child porn. That's what's happening.
I'm not saying that it's not, he didn't do the wrong thing, but that doesn't make it not true because no one's denying it.
But he didn't get anyone's contact information. He himself said that. He was I didn't actually see Hunter Biden. I didn't write down his name. He just had a sticker on the laptop.
You think someone else took all those pictures of Hunter Biden? 25,000 pictures of Hunter Biden?
Well, how come none of them have been released?
Because the FBI had it.
But Rudy Giuliani has it now.
Right, so this guy kept, the storyline is, this guy kept a copy, which maybe that's illegal too. He gave them the laptop, but he kept an image of the drives, which he then, after they did nothing, gave to Rudy Giuliani, suspecting
across
collusion.
The country.
Across the country?
Yeah, this guy was based in California. Rudy Giuliani's in New York.
Well, I mean, it's pretty easy to transfer data. We have the internet, Krista.
With child porn.
You think you should get some interstate trafficking charges? I'm not defending the guy. I'm just saying
that you have to suspend your level of disbelief over and over and over again to think that this is anywhere. It just doesn't make any sense to me.
It's for sure a political attack, and it's for sure planned out. But is it fake?
I just can't imagine any scenario where someone comes into my shop and is like, yeah, here's all this stuff, and I'm not going to get your contact information. And it just seems
Krista, you've never done the downstairs IT stuff.
It's pretty bad.
It's
pretty bad.
Did we not have that happen to us?
Yeah.
But they gave us contact information.
Yeah.
And we found the stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not uncommon at all. Anyway, whether any of that's true or not, there are some people who believe it to be true and are very upset with what happened in the aftermath of it.
CNBC, the whole lead up was to the CNBC article. Senate Republicans vote to subpoena Facebook and Twitter CEOs about alleged censorship. This is because they didn't want to cover the New York Post story, who, to Chris's point, Giuliani did say that he wanted to give it to a paper that wouldn't scrutinize it too much. His words, not mine.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I'm all for conspiracy theories here, but this one is really poorly put together. Just reading, I read the New York Post story and I was just like,
what? Yeah.
What? Yeah, the whole thing was just confusing to me. There's nothing in that sounds realistic.
At the same time, Twitter and Facebook, at least right now, they're private platforms. They can do whatever they want. If they want to prevent me from talking about processors, they totally can do that.
Well, that's going to lead the whole 230 thing.
Yeah.
So you're saying this is all of the photos and all of the emails and all that stuff completely fabricated. That's where you're going with this.
Yeah, because they've not released anything.
No, they've most certainly released the photos.
Where are they?
You have not seen the crack pipe photo?
No.
The crack pipe photo is very disturbing.
Well, you've not seen No, they're out there, Krista. The photos are out there. The reason you've not seen them is because you're reading the mainstream news, which is not covering it. But they've released the emails, they've released the photos. There are people who've done like, the flow charts connecting all the Chinese guys. There are several.
How does the pizzeria fit in the flowchart?
There are several.
How are the pizza places involved? Has anyone talked about that yet?
Pizza places?
Like
You don't remember that?
Are we talking about the ping pong?
the Hillary Clinton basement something?
No, this is not the child molester stuff. This is just Chinese influence. But they also have several previous business partners who are in prison with Biden, who have also come out and said, "Oh yeah," and supposedly the guy who the emails were to has said, "Yes, those are real. That was an email to me, and I have my copy." Now maybe that's also false, but you're definitely reading one side of this. There's another side, and again, I don't disagree. Total political move. Totally, obviously to influence the election, but is it false?
I just think it's weird.
I can't believe you've not seen the crack picture.
The crack picture is really disturbing.
You got to see the crack picture. He's laying in bed with a pipe hanging out of his sleeping mouth.
One thing that has been really disturbing about all of this is that I'll read a bunch of stuff and I'll read it in order, and then by the end of it, it's like, holy crap, aliens have landed. Like, I had no idea. And then I'll go read the other thing that explains everything else. And it's like, oh, that's not what that was at all. And so I have no idea. I literally have no idea.
I read the New York Post story, and they didn't include any photos.
They absolutely included 4 photos in the original story. One of him in a bathtub, one of him with a crack pipe, and 2 shirtless, I'm really cool poses. For sure.
I didn't see it. I read the New York Post article.
Did you have JavaScript blocked?
I may have. And it blocked the images, though?
There was a slideshow. One thing I am confident of, it's going to be a boisterous comment section this episode.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, we shouldn't have even gotten into it because it'll be a nightmare.
This is like the gatekeepers in our audience, which we have a lot of, are going to be like, see, this is why we need regular people to not be able to use technology. All of this is because of people who are bad using technology.
But I mean, the person who was, quote unquote, repairing the laptop, also apparently not particularly great with technology either. He didn't even take down contact information or get a deposit.
Nah, see, I've also seen articles saying that they have his signature. Not Hunter, but he had somebody else drop it off.
But no payment information.
Was it
that's
Dmitry Vladivostok or something?
Here's a pro criminal, actually just pro business tip chat. Always get 50% up front.
But see, that's the reason. So that's the reason that he's able to do what he wants with it, because the law says that after a certain amount of time, unclaimed repair stuff becomes your property.
I'm not sure if that would apply to an image, though. If the FBI
if there
has
was
the
something
original
illegal happening in the image.
Well, I'm not arguing with that.
If we were to do that, wouldn't our business get investigated immediately?
I'm sure he's getting investigated as we speak.
Yeah.
If Trump loses the election, oh boy, is that guy going to have a bad time. All right, moving on.
And that's the problem.
The other big thing that happened this week that surprised no one. We knew it was coming. We just didn't know exactly when, but the hammer has dropped.
The U.S. accuses Google of illegally protecting monopoly. A victory for the government could remake one of America's most recognizable companies in internet economy. It helped define. So they filed a 95-page or something?
It was robust.
It was a long thing. I can't remember if it was 20 pages or 95 pages, but either way, it was a lot. Barr has been hinting about this. It's gleeful. But, some of the other people in the Department of Justice have said, this seems politically motivated. We've said that because on the outside, it kind of looks politically motivated.
It's all about the search, the text ads and the search stuff and all that. And also Google paying to get special treatment with all of the various...
Which we will talk about tomorrow in the business section.
Yeah. And, politically motivated. Again, politically motivated, yes. Untrue?
You know what? This is just reconfirming in my brain that I should just go to the woods. just don't even bother anymore. I don't need internet. Who cares?
I really think that they messed up here. They should have gone after Amazon. I think Amazon is a much bigger threat than Google, but whatever.
I think people are more sympathetic to Amazon.
Why?
Because it's so convenient. People don't, I mean, Google
It's
is
ruthlessly convenient.
Yeah. Google's more like you need it in your life, but you don't think about how it makes your life better. And if you lost it, you're like, well, we got some other services. I could still make do. But if you take my subscribe and save,
there's some things in that lawsuit that I read, and it was just I was laughing at it because it was like at one time Bing and Yahoo were worthy competitors to Google, and it's like, have you seen MapReduce? They don't have MapReduce. Google does.
Yeah, and that's Google's. Also, from the Google side, it's always like, listen, we don't have a total monopoly. This is not 100% market share. And it's like, yeah, but you dominate. Everybody else compared to you is kind of garbage. Well, Krista, if you are thinking about going to the woods, is that far enough? You may need to go even further. And you could take the ultimate step, but you still wouldn't be out of the reach of the internet.
Talking on the moon, NASA and Nokia to install 4G on lunar surface. Is there no peace?
The article does talk about it. It's like, wait, what about 5G? And they're like, we don't need that much speed yet.
Moon browsing. It's not going to be fun. I think they have 5G. It's going to be a software update maybe someday. So this is to go along with our manned mission to the moon. This is going to be a separate thing. They're not taking it with them. It's going to be dropped off up there by a lander. And yeah, they're looking to have this set up for when the multi-gender team makes it to the moon. Was that 2022, I think? 23?
Lucky bastards.
Yeah. Good times.
I hope we build some sort of monument on the moon before the great filter happens so that, whenever somebody discovers that at some point in the future, it's like, oh, look, they almost made it. Not quite, but they almost made it.
When the aliens are setting up their beachhead for the invasion.
No, I meant that after we've made ourselves extinct somehow, and then...
Somehow.
Well, a lot of people are attributing the whole scandal, let me just risk bringing that up again, to the Russians. It's a story we've heard quite a few times so far. I don't know if it's ever been proven, but we do know that the Russians love to hack. To be fair, so do the Chinese and the Americans.
Everyone.
Some of the hacking really just rises to trolling. Like, they really just like trolling.
Yeah, they are masters of the... we'll have a story about that, too. Because literally they're getting so... They know it's so easy. America is so high-strung when it comes to this kind of thing that it's so easy to push our buttons.
Yeah, well, we did that story like 2 years ago about there was a bar fight in Moscow, and like the guy stabbed the other guy because he was using an AMD GPU, and that guy was a fan of Nvidia.
Did that turn out to be fake though?
Did it?
I kind of think it was.
Chat, we can't even keep it straight anymore. Unsubscribe.
Anyway, if they are not actively attacking our political situation daily, which they probably are, and we're probably doing the same, they have these groups inside there that are state controlled, and they are high-level hacking, and we sometimes do these pointless political moves to charge them with crimes. Not like they're ever coming here.
The U.S. charges Russian hackers behind NotPetya, KillDisk, OlympicDestroyer attacks. The U.S. Department of Justice has unsealed charges today against 6 GRU officers believed to be members of Sandworm, one of today's most advanced state-sponsored hacking groups.
Sandworm is a great name.
Didn't they...
It's a good name.
Yeah.
These are the names. I'm not going to try to pronounce any of them. Here's what they did, and we've even got their pictures. Monsters. They won't be visiting the U.S., unfortunately. We'll never get them. You think they'd be dumb enough to do that?
Some tourism.
I don't carry the risk. I got to go to Disney World. Got some bad news for you. So, I didn't realize this story was next. What a great sort today. The whole, the external influence that just, with a really transparent attacks, gets us all riled up. And it works so well because politically, everything is so supercharged right now. All you got to do, send a couple of fake emails.
U.S. officials conclude Iran was behind threatening emails claimed to be from Proud Boys. I like the stock photo they chose for this. It's like he's like thinking like, oh yeah, this makes sense.
It kind of looks like he's trying to like telepathically communicate something to someone across the room.
What do you think he's trying to say?
I don't know.
Send nudes.
Yeah.
So the emails in question were to liberal voters, and I don't know how they sourced that list, but they said, hey, we're the Proud Boys, and if you show up at the election poll, we are going to hurt you. Wasn't really the Proud Boys. It was Iran. Just looking to stir up some things, and it did. Stirred up some folks. Achievement unlocked.
Do the Proud Boys have like a website?
Probably.
Can you have an email address? Webmaster at Proud Boys.
Well, I think they, and they made it clear in the email. The email was probably like a little too descriptive, because why would you identify yourself when you made a threat like that?
Yeah.
Well, some of it seemed like they were also infiltrating like real people and just getting real people stirred up, which would be pretty easy.
Yeah.
We've all been baited, chat. We've all been baited here today.
And Miss Cortez, everyone's favorite lawmaker, who has a lot of interesting ideas, has you got to give her credit on this one. I don't understand. I mean, Trump's kind of doing this, but it's not Trump doing it. It's like one of Trump's aides probably who's like, hey, we can do this other thing and it's free and it'll get in touch with the kids. And they're like, whatever, Steve, go ahead. But she did it personally, and huge win. Huge win on this one.
Like 450,000 people watching. AOC's debut Twitch stream is one of the biggest ever, and she's genuinely pretty good at Among Us. So she brushed up before the thing. She got her like graphics overlays, the whole 9 yards. I watched part of this. It was actually kind of funny because the other people she was playing with was like Dr. Lupo and Pokimane and some other people like that. And one point, one of them was like, "Oh yeah, it's over on AOC's thing." And he was like, "Oh, can I call you AOC?" And she was like, "Yeah, you can call me AOC. It's Dick Cheney who has to call me, Miss Cortez."
Ha ha.
Or something like that. I don't know. It probably wasn't even Dick Cheney. It was probably like...
Didn't Bernie Sanders also start a Twitch channel at some point?
Yeah,
I remember that.
I think it was similar to Trump's thing where they just carried his speeches and stuff, right? Can you imagine Bernie Sanders trying to put a Twitch key into OBS?
I am once again asking for your technical support.
He's like one key at a time trying to type it in. Pulling his glasses down. I would watch Twitch streams of Bernie Sanders just presented with different electronics, trying to figure them out.
Ooh, what is this?
I would do that with almost any of our representatives.
She did a reasonably good job for what I saw. I didn't watch the whole thing.
I didn't really watch. I popped in because I was like, what is this darkest timeline that our representatives are on Twitch? But
so you're saying that she's inherently gifted when it comes to a game that's about deception and backstabbing?
Somebody turned that into a meme. They said because she literally was the imposter like immediately or something, and somebody screen capped like when you eject it and the little character goes like flying across space, and it was like AOC was ejected, and somebody made the meme and it was like AOC brings new policy to the U.S. Senate. AOC was ejected. Which is kind of funny.
So Huawei is upset because they see a problem with Nvidia getting ARM, and I kind of understand that. Probably be a little dangerous to them.
Huawei and China firms said to seek curbs on Nvidia's ARM deal, according to Bloomberg. They didn't go as far as I expected them to. Like, Bloomberg makes this out to be like this is, some really fearsome saber rattling and blah, blah, blah. But China really didn't have any unreasonable demands with this. They were saying, America's concentrating a lot of technology in American hands. It's trying to interfere with Chinese stuff. Okay, yeah. I mean, that seems reasonable to say that because it's demonstrably true. They're saying, hey, make sure that nothing happens so we lose access to ARM's IP rights, which we've already paid for. Again, seems reasonable.
I don't know how much power they have in this negotiation, but Bloomberg seemed to think that they had a good shot at stopping it if they really wanted to.
I think it's just the whole like customer sales thing. Like China could say, we're not going to license this anymore. We're not going to pay anything. And then maybe the ARM, like the shareholders or whatever would be upset.
The pup's getting riled up. Krista, what are you doing back there?
The neighbor's dog's outside. It's upsetting.
China has also... They have a lot of crazy rules when it comes to video games and streaming. What was it? Was it like 2 hours a day on weekdays and 3 or 4
Yeah,
on
only so many on the
weekends.
weekend.
But apparently that's too much freedom because they have tightened the noose further.
China's revamped law bans online services that quote-unquote induce addiction in kids. Games and streams have to set limits to stay legal.
They're kind of vague about it, exactly what the limits are here. But anything that they say could induce addiction, which is determined by the Communist Party, can fall under this. So, like, even a live streaming service will have to limit accounts and how long per day they can log in.
I'm surprised they didn't make parents responsible.
Ah, come on.
Yeah, really?
Parents, you're raised by the state. Also, a tough life for both e-girls and simps in China.
Oh, yeah.
When you think about 2 hours a day, jeez. Instagram is part of Facebook, of course, and as with everything social media, they kind of take a cavalier attitude when it comes to the kiddies, the little children's, and another EU country is taking issue with that.
Instagram handling of kids' data is now being probed in the EU. One of the major things that they're complaining about here is if you have a popular influencer on Instagram who sets themselves to be a business account, it reveals their contact information and their email address, which if they're a kid is not okay under EU rules. But they said they were a business. So it seems like a catch-22.
I would think you could limit that option based on they ask your age on there, don't they?
Yeah. Well, it's hidden. It is hidden. And then you say, oh, I'm a business. And then it's like, oh, you're a child business.
No,
it's
but I'm
not one of
saying
the things they considered.
If they know your age and you click I'm a business and you're 12,
Oh,
like,
should still keep it hidden?
you're not a business.
Yeah, they could fix that.
Be pretty easy to do. But then kids could lie about it. Why would a kid want to do that? Anybody have any insight on why a kid would want to dox themselves? The cloud, people think about the cloud as this nebulous thing, and it's like, oh, it's out in the cloud, it's everywhere all at once. Well, no, it's on a computer. And those computers are plugged into a data center, and that data center is sitting on soil that belongs to a nation. So ultimately, your cloud exists somewhere. And the EU is not too happy that most of the cloud is on American soil.
The EU is shooting for a 10 billion euro industrial cloud to rival the US. A pan-European alliance for cloud technology will be set up by the end of the year. So they're not talking about just infrastructure, but also software services and everything else that defines what we think of as quote-unquote the cloud. But they want it to be something that is more accessible to European Union member states.
And more importantly, doesn't run through the NSA servers.
Well, let's put it all in Germany. Oh, wait. That's the same.
It's tagged with a different tag in the metadata. It's not quite the same. Oh, Wendell. Now, this is the UK.
Yeah.
But what if they did this here?
I would live. It'd be fine.
Could you resist it, though?
Yeah, I'd be fine. I've gotten better.
I don't know.
Pre-pandemic, I don't know.
Drivers to be banned from picking up mobile phones. So in the UK, there's a loophole. It's like if you're picking up your phone to take a picture, or what was it, play a game?
Video.
Oh, play a video.
Somebody recorded a video of a traffic accident while driving by. They were then arrested for using their phone while driving, and they said, no, video is not included in the language that you have for this law. And they were right.
Nice. Well, you can't pick up your phone. Except to pay in the drive-thru. That is permitted expressly.
What if I need to change the music because I'm not feeling the song that's playing right now?
No, hands-free. You can talk to your phone, but you can't touch it. Can't pick it up.
Even a map. If you're using a mapping
Can't touch
app,
it.
Can't pick it up.
That's actually the only thing I do pick my phone up for if I'm driving someplace I'm not sure how to get to.
Yeah.
But sometimes I can't see it, and I need to move around. I need to know which way I'm turning.
Well, I've gotten to where I won't even, when I am doing the maps thing, I won't put the phone on my leg to look down because I have to take my eyes off the road for too long to look down. Even though I'm not touching my phone, looking down is too far. I need something like over, closer to the top of the dashboard so I don't have to look down as far.
That's like a move that they could do for cars, right? Is like make it so the dashboard has a place to put your phone. I don't think any car makers do that. I think most of it's just like third-party attachments.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, going forward, how many cars are we making these days without a screen?
Yeah.
Nah.
Although
I hate the screen, though.
Google Auto is just such
Android
garbage.
Auto, yeah. It's garbage.
Yeah, Android Auto. It's terrible. The map works sometimes. You can't use the touchscreen to interact with the map. You have to go to the location on your phone first, then plug it in.
I helped somebody just yesterday migrate from their old Android phone to a new Android phone, and it is still like, does Google just not have anybody working on that? Because it's terrible.
It's ridiculous. I don't know. They did point out that hands-free is okay. So you can buy the little arm and hook it to your vent or whatever and put your phone on that. You just can't touch it. Well, I don't know. Can you you can't pick it up. Can you push the screen?
You might be able to push the screen.
Another
but you can't pick
loophole.
it up.
Another loophole, chat. Sweden is neutral, but not when it comes to their 5G.
I think you're thinking of Switzerland.
Oh, I always get them confused.
I didn't even register at that time. I was just like, all right, yeah.
Because they're the same country. It's a conspiracy.
Sweden bans Chinese telecoms, Huawei and ZTE from their 5G networks. Sweden had their security people look at things and said, wow, okay.
I'm surprised no one's banned U.S. stuff, because I know we're doing the same thing.
But we do it in a much more secure way.
Sweden is the chef. Switzerland's the army knife.
Right.
That's how you got to remember it. That's the mnemonic. That's a tough word to pronounce.
I say the wrong thing all the time.
So, yeah, that's good. They kind of alluded to it there, but I was like, probably some U.S. political pressure here.
Yeah.
Yeah, weird. And when it comes to countries who are going after big tech, we know the EU is just, they're hitting them on all fronts. Now we got the antitrust. The U.S. is constantly fining them.
Japan last week was in on the whole we need a backdoor on encryption.
The Five Eyes thing.
Yeah.
Now they're joining up again. They're getting real chummy with these tyrant governments, meaning ours.
Japan to join forces with the U.S. and Europe in regulating big tech firms, according to the antitrust watchdog head. And this is from Reuters. So Reuters is talking about Tokyo making some big moves here to regulate big tech, which is surprising coming out of Tokyo, the land of giant robots and technology.
They also, I guess, does SoftBank own Fitbit?
SoftBank owns a lot of stuff.
I think that's sort of where their power comes from. And they talked about the Fitbit deal in particular. For some reason, Japan has power over the Fitbit deal. Which is why that picture is of a Fitbit watch. We found out that Facebook and Google, the whole news thing in Australia. So Australia ruled that you have to cover certain news if you run a news aggregation service. And you also must pay the creators of that news to carry it. So it sort of created a situation where it's like, hey, they get to choose how much of it there is, and we have to pay them no matter how much it is, and we're not going to do that. We're out. We're done. So if Google and Facebook leave your country, what do? They maybe have a plan.
If Facebook and Google limit services in Australia, could the ABC run a social network? A new paper suggests a publicly funded replacement could form part of the government's response if tech giants limit access. I think that will, I think Google would want that because it will end disastrously.
Oh my God, it'll be such a terrible thing.
And they'll be laughing the whole time.
If you are not, Australian, take whatever country you're in. It's the same for every country. And imagine the government trying to run a social network.
It'll be like the DMV.
And especially here in the U.S., with all this, outrage about language and stuff like that. And then the government trying to make everybody happy.
Yeah.
Ooh. That would be a rough government job.
You're only allowed to communicate using these 5,000 words. Pre-approved.
But then people would just put them together in such a way. Yeah, be terrible. The new line of iPhone products is out, and not just in the U.S., but around the world. However, in some countries, the prices are much higher than in others. So much that it might make sense to not buy them at all in that country.
India Today has the headline, the iPhone 12 Pro is so expensive in India that you can fly to Dubai to buy it, come back, and still save money. Part of this is because the flights are so cheap. Now, the article author goes out of their way to point out that they're not advocating that you fly during the current global situation.
But if you did,
it would be cheaper.
You could spend an extra 10,000 RS in miscellaneous. I guess like meals and stuff. I don't know how much the RS is in the dollar. Someone will correct us. Now here's the other thing. I don't know if I'm just an idiot or like what is up with this convention. There's no leading zero on the 11.
That is weird.
Why do they do that? And I thought, like, is that a typo? But the whole article is like that. Every time they mention a price, like right here. Look at
1.11. Yeah.
Why is there no leading zero?
I don't understand.
Chat. Educate me on this formatting. What's up with that?
He goes on to talk about how iPhone is really popular in India. Insanely popular.
And right now they only have the 2 models. The lesser one is a little bit more realistic, but that Pro is just crazy. But I bet that makes it even more desirable for the people of India. Don't you think? The Apple people?
You think people will be camping out for this one in India?
Do they do that in India? Once again,
I don't know. They didn't hear, but I don't hear about anyone doing that anymore. But I wonder if they're like at the peak craze for Apple products.
I imagine right now, most stores would frown on the camping out, considering the pandemic.
Yeah, it's funny though. There were a lot of people camping out for the new Nvidia cards.
Remember the kid who traded his kidney?
He died
for the iPhone. Now you can trade your lungs.
Oh, you'll pass away though.
But while you're in the hospital, oh my God! Imagine how much fun you're going to be having with that iPhone.
So many selfies.
He died of complications from the loss of the kidney and the very badly done surgery.
Moving on to security. TrickBot is one of these giant botnets that controls so many errant PCs and appliances out there that are connected to the internet, and they're all hacked up, filled with malware. But one thing about a botnet, you have to control it. So they have these servers that issue the commands for the botnet to go out and DDoS people and stuff like that. And Microsoft says, we're not going to fight the symptoms, we're going to fight the disease.
Microsoft says it took down 94% of TrickBot's command and control servers. It survived, and then more servers brought back, but then Microsoft got all those as well, except for like 1 or 2.
It's going to be like an insect infestation. If you miss 2, doesn't matter. So we'll see. We'll see if they repropagate. I think at the time of the updates on the article, they were still around. Another week, another ad extension or browser extension that's bad for you. No shock.
Adblockers installed 300,000 times are malicious and should now be removed. If you have Chromium versions of Nano Adblocker or Nano Defender, pay attention. So Nano Adblocker and Nano Defender was sold by the original author. They didn't have time to maintain it anymore. The new authors just straight up turned it into a malware harvesting thing.
Not even a hack. Just bought it. Sad. Did we do this one before?
Not recently.
I feel like we might have done something about this. I don't know. It's only
Sounds familiar.
It's a one-day-old article from Tech Radar, but maybe they're slower than we are. I don't know. Whatever, we'll do it again. Now, we've talked about this before. When it comes to voter data, it's out there. You can buy it. Actually, the Iranians, the Proud Boy Iranians, they bought a public.
Yeah.
It's not hacking.
Yeah.
You just buy it.
Yeah.
But I guess this is a bigger database that they have compiled.
This looks like something one of those voter analytics companies put together with data that's available commercially, other data that's available commercially. So they took the voter file, which is basically publicly available, and combined it with all of the stuff that you can buy from services like Visa and the cable analytics company. I can't remember, Newman or something. Like 3 or 4 other commercial companies, and they just combined it all together because voter data includes address, like name and address. So it's really easy to take name and address and match that up to credit card records, telephone records, any records that you can buy commercially.
So if you want it, you just got to join their Discord. That's all. It does cost like was it like $250?
Well, the guy, you're supposed to negotiate on an individual basis, but this article says that the Bitcoin destination address has had $100 million cycled through it.
Most of it from the U.S. politicians to buy that.
Yeah, so
we didn't do the headline.
186 million U.S. voters, which is basically every voter in the United States. I guarantee we're in there.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Wait, Ryan, have you voted? Did you vote?
I did the absentee, yeah.
Oh, okay.
I mailed it in. I mean, it's probably in the dumpster somewhere.
You can check it. I mailed mine in earlier this week. Mine has not been received yet. There's a website.
How do you do that?
I can't remember the URL. It's on like the Kentucky voting website. And you can enter your voting information, and then it'll pull up if you've gotten your ballot and whether or not it's been received.
And now all the audience can enter all of that information as well.
Well, they take your social to get it.
Yeah, that's in all of these leaks.
If what happens? I mean, if it's not there though, you're kind of just out of luck, right? What are you gonna do about it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not sure what your course of action is if they don't get it. Like, do you just go vote day of, or do you get a felony if you do that? Because it's like, well, you technically requested a ballot. Like,
I'm not doing that. This is not a surprising headline, but it's nice to see the New York Times, maybe the normies will pick up on this, because there is they point out the whole bar thing where it's like, hey, you really need to give us backdoor access in the Five Eyes, and everybody's like, oh, we got to break encryption. It's terrible. We can't get into these phones. But the reality is,
the police can probably break into your phones. Normie paper, the New York Times, has an article talking about something we talk about literally every week, and that is you can totally break into most phones immediately, and other phones that you can't break into if you just wait a month or two, less time than it usually takes to get a case to trial, you can still break into the phone because a security issue is discovered.
That's 2,000 in the country. How many police agencies does every given state have, do you think?
just a moment of silence as we all contemplate that.
Let's see, 2,000 places, 100 per state would be enough, right?
That's quick math that we should be able to do in our heads. But now that you put me to the gun,
my brain is fried today. Yeah.
Well, if it's 1,000, 50 into 1,000, it just dropped the zeros. So it'd be 50 into 10 is 2, so it's like 200, and then you double that, so like 400. It's like 400 per state.
So yeah, you wouldn't expect the little boondock counties to have it.
400.
But all definitely every metro police and the federal arms. Yeah. Easily. I don't even know if they're counting federal in that.
No, maybe not. 40 per state is a huge number of those unlocked devices.
Yeah. So if your local police don't have it, they have somewhere they can kick it up to that has it, if they really want it. They might have to give somebody some baseball tickets or something, but that's how that works. And finally, if you have some cameras in your house, you really got to think about this, because this is terrifying.
Hackers leaked tons of webcam and home security footage on porn sites. 50,000 cameras. That's the number of cameras reportedly hacked by one group.
Oh, I got these confused. This is the one with the Discord.
Yeah.
The other one you bought with Bitcoins.
Yeah.
This one you join the Discord and you can watch all these.
Well, they only give you 700 megs. You got to pay for more.
Yeah, but I think it's like, what, $250 for or it's maybe less than $100 for the teas.
Yeah.
And then like $700 to join.
Yeah, so like, why do your home security cameras need to upload to the cloud constantly? That makes no sense.
And so someone has uploaded all of this to a porn site. I guess it's free now.
See also our IoT videos and why all IoT is terrible and on fire.
It's not. Some of them are blurred faces. Some are not. It's not all adult stuff either. Some of it's just people going about their lives. But, people going about their lives, they do have sex, and some of that's in there too. So if there's a camera in your bedroom, you might want to check this out.
How much of the footage do they have to comb through in order to find the good stuff? Is it all there? Or is the security camera company being like, ooh, that's motion, let's save that?
I have a feeling a lot of these guys have a lot of time on their hands.
Yeah.
I mean, this is like, there's as much labor went into collating these videos as it took to build the Great Pyramids at Giza, and that's just depressing.
3 terabytes, and most of that camera footage is not really high resolution. It's compressed.
Do you think we could maybe write some hieroglyphics on the moon that's like, Warning, one of the signs of the Great Filter coming is that the amount of labor that went into your monuments of old, such as the Great Pyramid, is roughly equal to the amount of time people spend putting together, collections of surreptitiously gathered surveillance footage.
So there's your engagement challenge, chat. Use like the SETI images, for example. You know how they have like the solar system and the male and female naked bodies, and somehow communicate deep fakes using that same style.
As a warning sign that you're approaching the Great Filter and you need to make changes to your society to avoid the Great Filter.
All right. That's all we got.
See you in
That's
the
all
next
we
one.
got. Unrelated, if you're wondering what the font is in this headline, as I was, the font is named Redaction.
Nice.
Oh, I see. Like the 5 and the K have that little piece clipped out of them. Do you like that?
Yeah, I do. That's why I looked it up.
What about the K? The bottom right stick of the K not coming from the I part, but coming only from the top. I don't like that.
I don't mind it. There's a website for it. Someone made a splash website for this font.
Also,
A typeface inspired.
it's Super Tuesday, so good luck.
Good luck in
I wish you
November.
good fortune in the wars to come.
Chrissy, you can give us a bye.
Bye. My brain just like shut down for a second. It's November 28th, and we're here
It's not.
with social media and business.
It's
It's
not
October 28th.
It's not November.
Is it? Oh my gosh, it's not. It's October.
It's the day after, Krista. -1 days remain.
We're still here, but we shot this before, so maybe we're not. This might be the last.
I hope the comments are great on this one.
The
Tell us
smoking
what it's
crater.
like from the future.
Well, assuming we are all still here, and society progresses in the U.S., Google has a problem on its hand. Now, we talked in the last episode about the lawsuit finally landing. We all knew it was coming. We didn't know when. It's here now, and in it were some details,
Complaints.
about why the government is going after Google. This is one of the big ones.
Google locks in search monopoly with $1 billion to carriers to keep their place. Now, this talks about Google and Apple a lot less than the antitrust lawsuit. Although the antitrust lawsuit does talk about Google and carriers and Apple a little less specifically. But this article is much more specific. They're saying, hey, Google and Apple are working together to suppress literally everybody else. I don't think that argument is as good as the EU's argument. The EU's argument was Google is suppressing possibly competing search engines because possibly competing search engines could never afford to pay what Google or Microsoft could pay. Like DuckDuckGo could never afford to pay carriers to be the #1 search engine, which, if consumers are making an informed decision, they probably would choose DuckDuckGo over one of the commercial search engines. Probably. Maybe.
I don't really know any other alternatives other than DuckDuckGo. That's what I use, but
Yahoo.
Bing.
yeah. Bing,
Ask Jeeves. Alta Vista.
That's not still around.
is that
Is it?
no? Ask.com is still around. They got rid of the butler, I think.
Oh, okay. All right, Krista,
AskJeeves.com.
I'm rearranging the next 2 stories. Just heads up on that.
Oh no.
One tab users. Actually, it won't. Yeah, it will affect you.
You've already made the one tab,
The
yeah.
next 2 stories. Intel. So Intel had an earnings report, and it actually looked pretty good. They beat on their metrics, but the investors didn't like it, and TechCrunch thinks they know why.
Here's why Intel stock just dropped 10% after reporting earnings. So Intel hit guidance, but then their stuff really tanked. So what? The Intel did exactly as well as they said they were going to do financially.
But they beat.
Well, it was close though. I was really
Hey,
close.
listen, a win's a win.
But it was like targeting $1.06, and they made like $1.11 earnings per share, blah blah blah. But if you peel back the linoleum, it's like, how did they do that? It doesn't look the best, according to TechCrunch.
Now, they said that the chips were fine, which that's amazing, isn't it?
10 nanometer. Well, I mean,
No, but
Intel
the
can produce in
sales.
volume.
I'm just saying the sales. The problem was their data. And I thought they were doing well because they'd expanded into the data services.
No.
But apparently the data services, no one's buying it.
Intel said that this is because of the global situation more than anything.
But there are a lot of other companies that are doing big data that are swimming in cash right now.
Well, government and enterprise spending was down 47%.
That makes sense because government's not working.
The question, though, is will the enterprise division of AMD be up some ridiculous percentage when they report their earnings in a week or two?
Now, Intel, maybe based on this feedback, seems to be looking to streamline. Amazingly enough, they're back to focusing on chips. Remember when they weren't going to focus on chips anymore?
That was 2018. They literally said, we're not going to focus on chips anymore in 2018 at Computex. I've got the video.
We're back to focusing on chips, and everything else we're going to sell off.
Intel agrees to sell storage unit to SK Hynix for $9 billion. This is their flash division, but this does not include storage like Optane. Optane is being retained by Intel, all that juicy, delicious intellectual property. Intel, in their shareholder call, said this makes sense for us. This is a win-win because this is a commodity division. Everybody makes flash. We're not doing anything particularly innovative when it comes to flash. And certainly if you've bought an Intel 660p or a 665p, I would definitely characterize that flash SSD as nothing special. Competent, but nothing special. And they're just saying, hey, this doesn't make sense for us to do. We need to refocus on being innovative.
That's true. They do. Good luck with that. Microsoft is getting on the bandwagon of going to space. Boy, SpaceX, they cannot make enough headlines. They love it. And Starlink is definitely capturing everyone's imagination. A lot of the big tech companies are like, oh, what could we do if we had satellite internet? Wow, that seems really cool. Microsoft has a plan.
Microsoft launches Azure Space Initiative, partners with SpaceX. Microsoft is using its Amazon as your competitor playbook to try to win over more satellite partners and customers. It's also launching an Azure in a shipping container offering called Azure Modular Data Center. This is an interesting thing because Amazon has already sort of launched Amazon at the edge. It's letting you run Amazon AWS services, but on your own hardware, actually on premise, but you can access it and use it through the Amazon AWS API, so your developers and stuff have an easier time. And that is actually really awesome. And so Microsoft is sort of one-upping them and saying, we'll ship not just running your own hardware, we'll ship you a shipping container so you don't even have to think about it.
Well, that's going to be great. I mean, we'll never live to see it, but someday when we're on the moon colonies and the Mars colonies, and it's just like, oh, this new product is selling out. Our website's going down. We can't handle the traffic. You get on the phone and they just drop pod you down more servers to your location.
There aren't enough 3090s. Okay, we need to drop pod a 3090 manufacturing pod into the parking lot. Just manufacture more right in the parking lot.
And Amazon, on the other hand, are doing quite well with their data services, and they have they use those data services very well themselves, specifically to record everything that we do and use it to sell us products. God, they're good at that. But the question is, how much data is enough? And the answer is like money. There is no amount. You must have it all. There's never going to be enough. And they have a new program to suck even more data from you. Here is a pro tip. The value that they're offering here is really low. Really low.
Amazon launches a program to pay consumers for data on their non-Amazon purchases. You take 10 pictures of receipts that are not Amazon or Amazon-owned affiliates like Whole Foods, and they'll give you $10
per month. That's $120 a year for your privacy.
I can't wait, to be able to live off that. $10 a month? I'm going to get a second apartment.
You can also take surveys and stuff like that. And if you take the surveys, you get more rewards. They weren't specific on exactly what that is, but this all comes with an app. So you can sign up and you can take pictures of your receipts within the app. It's all very easy to do. It's very easy to give them all of your privacy.
Yeah.
So easy.
Well, I don't think that I would postulate that they probably have some of this receipt data already. They just don't have an easy way to relate it to you, the individual. But if they could get a couple of transactions from that, they can match it up on the other side. like from the Visa side? Because we know Google's buying the data directly from Visa. And Google's also mining your inbox for this.
There's a lot of people who are going to do this.
Yeah.
It's going to be popular.
Well, I mean, a lot of loyalty programs and rewards programs already do this.
Yeah.
Amazon also has a new streaming service. Now, we've talked about this before, but it is out, and The Verge has actually used it. They have some words to say about it.
Hands-on with Amazon's Luna game streaming service. First look at Luna. It's actually good, except for when the connection is bad, and then it doesn't make any attempt to try to deal with your bad connection. You just have a bad experience. It also works on iOS devices, which is a first because Apple's insanity. But the way that Amazon got around that was to build a web application to do it that way. So you launch Safari, basically, and go to a web page, and then you can stream any game you want. Because remember, Apple doesn't want you to stream any game you want through an application because they want control. But it works fine in a web browser because Apple does things that make sense.
Minimum requirement is 10 megabit. According to The Verge, 10 megabit, it's mostly unplayable, especially on more complicated games. They felt that 40 was the sweet spot. 25 was maybe okay. I can totally see that. They also said that Metro, the newest Metro game, was horrible input lag for whatever reason. That was nearly unplayable. But Bloodstained, Ritual of the Night, they thought was nearly the same as playing it on a natively.
They did notice that the load times were way faster than console.
That makes sense.
About equivalent to PC.
Because it's probably running on a PC.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I signed up for it just to see if they'd give it to me. They didn't. It is $5.99 a month. I don't even know if because I'm already paying the Xbox one, not the Xbox like this service, but the one where you just actually download the games. We'll see. I hope that's not the future of gaming.
Me too.
Yeah, I don't want that.
It is the future. Nothing is okay.
Do you remember? Was it like 84, 83? When this crazy new television channel came out, and the only thing that they played all day long,
I don't remember that, no,
was music videos.
I was not alive.
I remember MTV, and I remember people saying that MTV used to be that, but I think that was a little before my time.
Really? No.
We didn't have TV for a long time.
I remember my cousins were older than me. They were teenagers. I remember them just like watching MTV around the clock.
Oh, yeah.
But this was a very religious group of not just one household. It's like our family had a little compound, and there was a lot of conflict that erupted from the MTV.
Listen, we could only get like 2 broadcast channels, and that was it.
I remember my family was so like intensely religious and crazy and cult-like that we had a neighbor who worked for the cable company, and he came to my grandmother and he was like, "Hey, listen, I gave you the Disney Channel." She was like, "No, I don't want it." I was like, "No, it's not HBO. It's Disney." And she was like, "Get it out." Anyway, MTV was revolutionary. All music videos all day long, and now 40 years later,
Apple launches Apple Music TV, a 24-hour music video live stream.
What? Like, is it just pop musicians? Because,
well, I'm sure it is the most popular music, which is probably just going to be rap and pop mostly, I would say. But no, it's curated. But they said they're going to have other programming maybe and debut new videos. Of course, I mean, you guys are familiar with PT Joji, right? You know?
Was that a thing you eat?
I squinted. I didn't say anything. You
PT Joji.
Pierogies?
What about Saint Jin?
What now?
Saint Jin? JHN?
Mm.
Saint Jin?
No. See, I think at this point, though, like, the artists I'm interested in seeing, like, I watch their music videos on, like, YouTube or something.
On
like,
demand?
why would I watch a live stream of just random music videos?
Well, you wouldn't, Krista, because you're old. You're not hip.
It's true.
You don't know where it's at.
I remember MTV having a lot of Beavis and Butthead.
That was later.
You didn't watch TRL, Total Request Live with Carson Daly.
That was also much later.
I watched that when I came home from school off the bus in 6th grade.
That was as they were transitioning into not playing music.
Yeah. Yeah, I was like probably 12 around that time.
We can make so much money by not playing music. We definitely have to do that.
We can produce these garbage TV shows for almost nothing, and people will watch them compulsively. Anyway, you can only watch that on Apple TV. So, congratulations if you're on Apple TV. Enjoy those videos. Tesla, it seems like...
We have a lot of Tesla stories this week, again.
This one's pretty bad.
We talked about this before, and a lot of people were like, no, it's not true, but...
Oh, yeah, we did get a lot of hate for this one because they were like, this isn't real, it's overblown, blah, blah, blah.
Well, it's from the horse's mouth this time.
Tesla admits a design flaw led to the vehicle rear bumper falling off when driving in puddles of water. So it wasn't really driving in puddles of water so much as water would accumulate in the bumper.
And debris.
And then that would, weigh down the bumper, and then it would slosh around, which would eventually rip itself off.
Especially if it was standing water and, that was down in it, because the drag would be immediate.
Yeah.
All that torque from those electric motors just...
just rips it right off.
Now, they went through... This was years ago. There's a guy with a YouTube channel who first revealed this, and it's great. You can go watch his videos. He's like... He'll go and he'll be like, oh, yeah, I see what's happening. He'll, pull the bumper back and hit it with a hammer, and just rocks start falling out of it.
There's a lot of hate in those comments too. A lot of hate.
And this is Electrek. This is the Tesla fan service, so this is the real thing. Now they got the tech bulletin and stuff here.
Now they were like, "Oh, you're still driving through standing water," and it's like, "Come on, guys, come on."
They will fix this under warranty now. Some people were having a hard time getting them to honor that. But they have confirmed it only affects up till a certain month in 2019. So at some point, they recognized it and fixed it.
And tried to keep it quiet.
Yeah, before they admitted it. So watch out for that. It's only the model... Was it Model 3?
Yeah.
Only the Model 3. So if you got a Model 3 manufactured before or during 2019, might want to look out for that. And maybe related... I don't know. This was done with no announcement, obviously. I mean, why would you announce this? This is terrible. But you can go and look at the website. The page that used to state this now just redirects, and there's no mention of this whatsoever.
Tesla cancels its ballsy no questions asked 7-day return policy. I don't know if this has been updated since then, but there have been a couple follow-ups on this. And finally, they said, you can still return the car. You just have to go through customer service, and you got to give a reason.
So it's not no questions asked.
No.
When I bought my last car, it's amazing. So when you're buying a car and they don't know that you have any money, or they're not super interested in selling you that specific car, they just they don't care at all. But when I'd been leasing cars from this car company for a while, so they knew that I was likely to buy it, but I was thinking about getting a different car, and I let them know that. And at that point, it was like, we will do anything for you. Do you want food? How about we could massage your feet? And the guy was like, look, just take it for the weekend. I was like, really? I bought the other one.
Aww.
I didn't take it for the weekend either. I bought it that day. I was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to go for the poor decision.
Gotta go fast.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that reminds me. There's a car in the alley. You should look at that and see if there's anything we could do funny with it in a video. It's not mine, but I have it for a while.
What? Just
what
a
year
car?
is it?
It has 600 horsepower.
That's just so many questions.
Yeah.
So, speaking of Tesla and Elon Musk's side projects, one of them is getting some bad news.
Elon Musk's Las Vegas loop might only carry a fraction of the passengers that it promised. No, say it ain't so. An Elon Musk project that was overhyped.
The comments this whole week are going to be fantastic.
Yeah, it's going to be a bad week. Everyone's going to be in a bad mood because of the election, and then they're going to watch our news and be in a worse mood.
The algorithm isn't even going to show it to anybody.
So if you remember, the original Hyperloop plan were these shuttles that has been scrapped. Now it's just Teslas in the tunnel. But beyond that, it turns out that there are, and this is even pre-pandemic, fire codes that maybe no one considered. Like, you can't queue up a bunch of people underground. That's a problem.
There's a lot of rules with that.
So they did the math. With the existing place that they have, there's no way they could move that number through them legally. Like, they literally can't do it legally. And because Las Vegas was a little bit skeptical of Mr. Musk, they built a contract to say that, okay, if you don't do what you say you're going to do, you owe us money.
Uh-oh.
Bad news.
Well, all they got to do is pop the end off the tunnels so that it's got a wire mesh covering instead of like being underground.
The whole tunnel just covered in bird shit.
No, the ends of the tunnel can be. I mean, the tunnel itself can be covered, but the ends of the tunnel, the platforms,
the waiting area.
Yeah.
So when it rains.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, just dig out a tunnel under the tunnel for the rainwater and pump it out. It'll be fine.
But I mean, like, if you're in a fire scenario, like, just because it's open to the sky doesn't mean you'd be able to get out easily.
Yeah, I don't know how that would work exactly. They mentioned something about like some emergency ladders that they had to install as well. So like if you get stuck in the tunnel, I guess no one thought about that.
Oh yeah, exits every so often. Yeah.
It's weird that I feel like we've kind of solved these problems with subways in the past. Like, did they not hire anybody who's worked on a system like that, like in New York?
Probably
like
not.
I don't know.
Japan, anywhere?
No.
And one of the things we always talk about, we can hate on Tesla all we want, but there is no competition. What was the Lucid? Was that the new one? Something like that? They have a very Tesla-like car that might be coming out.
Yeah.
But other than that, no one has what Tesla has for sure. They don't have the technology. And they have some electric cars from the American companies, but nothing that really set the world on fire until maybe now.
GM sells out a first year of electric Hummer production. The website banner is like, oh, pre-orders are full. This is a new electric Hummer for $100,000.
I couldn't figure out if they said the next version is $99,995. I don't know what this one is.
Oh, the least expensive configuration is $80,000.
But that's 2024.
Oh.
This one might be more.
Wow.
Might not be less, it might be more. But anyway, whatever they're selling now, people are just eating it up. There's no picture.
I saw one of the new Hummer advertisements, and they had like crab walking where it could like drive diagonally.
Because the wheels, there is no non-drive wheels. It's full 4-wheel drive, and they all turn.
Yeah.
So
I looked it up.
You know what? You know what I think is a great idea? Let's buy a $100,000 car and then take it out and drive it on rocks.
That's what the video's showing here on their website.
Wasn't the whole reason that like Jeep driving on rocks was popular is because you could get a crate of Jeeps for like $5,000?
Yeah, and it's well, they're not super cheap, but they're certainly not $100,000.
The quiet revolution starts now. So metal.
I guess it is quiet. Although they're going to be cranking some music out of that thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Queeby? What do you think?
I was always pronounced it Chibi.
I thought it was Quibi.
Quibi.
At least based on the advertisements I've seen.
Oh, have you actually heard it spoken?
Yeah, I think it's Quibi. I think.
It's gone.
You know what? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what its name's.
Quibi is shutting down barely 6 months after going live. Streaming service is designed for mobile users and struggled to resonate amid the global situation and a crowded marketplace. This was terrible.
I saw an ads for this, as I mentioned, and I never understood what the use case was, because it's just supposed to be like snippets of episodes, and it's like, why would I care about that? Why wouldn't I just want to watch the whole episode?
I've got the pitch for you. It's like, we're going to take all the worst things about TikTok and all the worst things about Netflix and combine it into a YouTube-like platform.
And that pitch, $2 billion in venture capital, which they burned through completely.
It turns out video hosting's expensive.
How much hardware, server-wise, for $50 million, you could easily build that infrastructure, right?
Yeah.
And then you would
have an asset.
Part of the problem with their business model is they stole the software, and the lawsuits were breaking them up. Like, they didn't even spend the $2 billion to build the software; they stole it.
The startup story is old as time.
Yeah, and it kind of makes you wonder when you hear stories like this. It's like, what am I doing wrong? Someone gave these people $2 billion.
We're not asking.
Couldn't do anything.
We're not asking anybody for venture capital. That's what we're doing wrong.
Yeah.
Oh, web security is a big deal, and I got to admit, Cloudflare, I don't know if we can trust them. Maybe we shouldn't, but they really are doing a lot of cool things in terms of like privacy and security. If there's not some hidden agenda, I don't know, maybe there is. But on the surface, looks like they're doing some cool things.
Cloudflare wants to run your web browser in the cloud. Web-based threats can't affect your system or network if they're isolated in the cloud. So what they're talking about is literally running the application on a different machine and then just streaming the application back to you. Kind of like a game, except it's the web browser. And this is kind of smart for a lot of reasons, because it means that the thing that your computer has to deal with is really just an image. And so that dramatically lowers the attack surface area. The browser isn't even running on your computer anymore.
Well, I think they did it a little different. It's not video. It's instructions on drawing the site.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's not HTML, right?
No.
It's the proprietary thing.
Yeah.
But it does render it similar.
Yeah.
It's just there's no way that anything bad could be there, because any kind of scripting or whatever, anything is gone at that point.
Yeah.
It's literally just showing you things. The other services that they said they had trouble with forms and stuff like that, this apparently fixes that.
Neat. We should show people how to do this with Cloudflare, because you can totally do this with Cloudflare and X11 forwarding over SSH.
But it is Cloudflare.
I mean Linode.
Okay.
We should show people how to do that with Linode. DIY with Linode. We got Linode ads this week. Thanks, Linode.
Big news. Did you see Bitcoin? It was like
Yeah.
13K.
Yeah.
If you were wondering why, it's because of this.
PayPal to let you buy and sell cryptocurrencies. Sell has an asterisk there. Cryptocurrencies in the U.S. So really, just you can take your existing cryptocurrency and convert it to PayPal, but PayPal's going to be a little weird and squirrely, not quite like Coinbase with the cryptocurrency side of it, from what I read.
Well, they're going to charge you more, but the big draw here is you can take your PayPal debit card or online PayPal transactions, and it can pull from your crypto, and it will automatically convert. So you don't have to. It's like, oh, I want to buy some movie tickets. Let me go sell 0.00001 bitcoins.
It charges you a lot to do that, though.
I think it only charges you when you buy and sell.
The crypto?
I think you can fund your account, and then the conversions don't count against you. I'm not sure if that's true, though.
It made it sound like you were always going to get charged like 20 cents per transaction plus some percentage.
That would be insane. Because then if you're like at the store and you're like, oh, let me get a soda,
Yeah.
it's going to cost you an extra like 50 cents or 25 cents.
Yeah, which just seems crazy.
Convenient, though. I don't know. The crypto world seems to think it's going to be good. I'm happy to get that extra Bitcoin money.
It's not just Bitcoin. It's also some other cryptocurrencies.
Bitcoin Cash, Litecoin.
Well, did you notice that the list of cryptocurrencies that are okay is exactly the list that Bill Barr said was okay, which are the ones that don't really have privacy?
No Monero or Zcash.
So no untraceable cryptocurrency transactions through PayPal. Makes sense.
Let's think. You know, it's the election's over, but we probably don't have a winner yet.
We don't know.
I feel confident in projecting that. You know, we're recording this ahead of time. But let's think back to the previous election. Do you remember when Trump was saying, you know, we're going to make America great again. We're going to bring manufacturing back to the U.S.
And this Wisconsin win was one of the big ones.
This was one of the big ones. And the governor of Wisconsin, who is not the governor anymore, said, yes, I'm working hand in hand with the president, or the, you know, soon to be president, and we're going to bring this amazing factory. And everybody was like, wow, Foxconn. That's weird that they're coming to the U.S. because
all those tax breaks.
I mean, they're the ones that had to put up the suicide nets because it's so bad in China. How are they ever going to make it work in the U.S.? Well, we might have the answer now.
Exclusive. Wisconsin report confirms that Foxconn's so-called LCD factory, it's just not real. The building may be better suited for demonstration purposes than as a viable commercial glass fabrication facility. So this is supposed to be LCD manufacturing, and it was supposed to be a Class 10 LCD manufacturing. This isn't any bigger than a Walmart. And so they were saying, oh, well, it's a Class 6 facility, which is not as good. It's not making as high-end panels. But even a Class 6 facility, that's nowhere near large enough. And when reached for comment, somebody from the governor's office said something along the lines of, well, it is going to be a Class 6 facility unlike anything the world has ever seen, so don't compare it to the size of other Class 6 facilities because it's going to be different than other Class 6 facilities in the world, which probably means that it's not going to employ 13,000 people in something the size of a Walmart.
Well, they also have the records of all the equipment that had been ordered for that location, and none of the equipment needed for LCD manufacturing is among the list.
Well, that's coming over from South Korea. We're cleaning out a place in South Korea. We're upgrading it. We're going to take the old equipment. We're going to bring that over to Wisconsin. It's like, no one believes this.
I like the pull quote in this article. Taxpayers fully performed their side of the agreement to date, while the recipients have not. That's just like, just get that tattooed on my chest.
They're not
so accurate.
They're not paying the subsidies based on this. They're holding them back. So that makes sense. If you didn't bring, what a cool building somebody's going to get for pennies on the dollar.
The Level 1 compound.
But think about this in terms of like all the internet infrastructure as well. Taxpayers fully performed their side of the agreement to date, while the recipients have not.
Probably a lot easier to get fiber in that neighborhood now.
They probably wired the entire town just to get them to shut up.
We have another story here about a new supercomputer. There's always this, game of like who can build the best supercomputer. I promise I don't do this every week. I make no attempt to specifically find his articles, but he makes his way in because he is such an amazing reporter.
Hewlett Packard Enterprise will build a $160 million supercomputer in Finland. Yes, it will be based on AMD's EPYC, and yes, it comes to us courtesy of Mr. Kyle Wiggers.
God.
What's the L stand for in his Twitter handle?
Love.
I'm looking it up. Oh, he doesn't say.
The man's a mystery.
Hang on, I'm clicking on his personal website. We're going deep, chat. He doesn't mention it here either, but he used to.
Give the man some privacy.
It seems wise.
Twitter feed, Kyle L. Wiggers.
Leave a Wigger alone. Office work. There aren't many companies going back to the office, but the ones that are going back are finding an issue with people's natural urge to socialize. It seems like you can't just stamp that out of humanity. So what do?
Offices resort to censors in futile attempt to keep workers apart. Overcoming the human urge to mingle is almost impossible. Oh, that would be amazing. In the break room, put like the red alert clacks on from like Star Wars 5, and so it's like, oh, there's two people in the break room, and it's just like.
Well, they do.
I feel like this would be less of a problem in our office.
Yeah. They do point out that so cameras are in a lot of offices, so there is software now that you can get which uses the cameras to detect social distancing failures and then maybe sound an alarm. But also they have the wristbands. Remember the Amazon wristbands?
Oh, yeah.
So those have been repurposed for proximity. So if you get in proximity of another wristband, you both get a buzz.
How long before there's an HR incident, not pandemic related, and it's like, okay, Tom, you're gonna have to keep your distance from Sue. Just avoid Sue. It's like, and then both of them have to wear wristbands, and it's like, Tom, your wristband shows that you were in motion, and Sue was seated at her desk.
Both of your heart rates were very elevated in the bathroom.
Gonna have to take a couple of points off of your social profile. I'm sorry.
Well,
I need those points to take the bus. I'm sorry, Tom.
Speaking of points, you might have lost some, and you might have lost your channel if you were a Twitch streamer because of not anything that you did recently.
Not your channel, but all of the content on it.
No, with enough strikes, you lose the channel.
Well, it wasn't going to count them. That was the thing here.
If you agreed
to
their draconian, this is not our fault. But this goes back to 2017. Who even remembers 2017?
It was a simpler time.
Seems like a decade ago. Twitch DMCA bloodbath trades copyright strikes for due process. So basically, the RIAA is stepping up things with Twitch again, and they're going after a lot of old saved videos because, everybody's watching 3-year-old streams. But Twitch, it was a little tone deaf in their email. They just said, we're going to give you the opportunity, like a bunch of your stuff matched. If you want to delete all of your stuff, we won't count it against you. But if you challenge this, we will hold it against you.
And delete your channel.
So
you can choose between lose your channel
and everything is deleted.
Or don't sue.
Or don't sue and everything is deleted.
Except that you lose everything.
Yeah.
This was, of course, the Recording Industry Association of America. Everybody's favorite corporate entity.
There's a lot of other stuff, like other tone-deaf stuff this kicked off. Like, there was a guy that was a director of a game studio that Microsoft... No, he is a Stadia creative director, but he is not responsible for Stadia.
Okay.
He is responsible for some game company that Stadia absorbed. And he's like, hey, streamers ought to be paying a royalty to game companies anyway, because that's how copyright works. And he's not technically wrong, but at the same time, that's because copyright law is terrible, not because there's a legitimate interest there.
I'm sure that it doesn't benefit his game company at all to get all that free advertising.
Yeah, whether or not it diminishes the market would be one thing that the courts look at, but at the same time, I feel like that, if Twitch just gives people an opportunity to export their old stuff, and you could put it on like, Moscow File Hosting 123 or whatever Kim.com is doing now. It's like, you can see all my old VODs on Kim.com's thing. Then it would be fine. They just didn't give people a way to save their old content.
I don't know. Maybe for the VODs, but for the streaming itself, no one has been able to recreate the magic, and I don't know why.
Yeah.
But like Mixer?
Oh, it's terrible.
Oh, yeah.
But was it terrible, or was it just they couldn't?
Do you think part of the reason that Mixer shut down is because game publishing companies were looking at Microsoft as a juicy target, whereas Twitch feels like that it would be judgment proof?
Oh, that's Amazon, though.
Yeah, Twitch is owned by Amazon now, so like, if you really want to go after them, it's Jeff Bezos' money.
It's probably still isolated corporately, though. Like, it's probably still under its own LLC, even though it's owned. They can just liability bomb that and, detonate the company if it's really bad.
Well, I'm sure that's not the last we've heard of it, because it'll just keep happening.
Yeah.
We'll see. Krista, you still a Minecraft player?
Yeah, I like to play it. When my pandemic anxiety gets a little too high, fire up some Minecraft and just work on a city.
Reading this, I realized I have a Minecraft account. I bought it back when it was like you just downloaded it.
Yeah, it was like that was like 2011, 2012 when it first.
And then
came
they
out.
made me get a Mojang account at some point. I think when we were playing it on our stream, I had to go through all that. And which one do you have a Mojang account, Krista?
So when I first got it, yeah, you could just download it from their website, and then they switched it to the Mojang account.
But you do have a Mojang account, not a Microsoft
yeah.
account.
Yeah.
Well, so you're going to be affected by this.
Minecraft will require a Microsoft account to play in 2021. And they just announced the Cave update for 2021.
Oh, the Cave update. What's that?
Cave update. They're updating like terrain generation and adding a bunch of new items and monsters, and it'll be really exciting. The whole game will change. It's not really, but I was actually kind of excited about it, and now it's like, ew, I have to have a Microsoft account.
I have noticed every like 4 years or 3 years when I fire up Minecraft, I get curious about it. They add a bunch of stuff, even after the Microsoft thing.
Yeah, it gets updated like every few months. They just did a big Nether update.
Wow. Well, if you want the Nether update, get that Microsoft account. Enjoy that. Microsoft and Facebook playing the same game there. Moving on to social media, this is a tone-deaf thing to say if you are in this position, but is he wrong?
He's not wrong.
He's not wrong.
He's not.
Former Google CEO calls social networks amplifiers for idiots. U.S. regulation will come if industry doesn't get its act together. U.S. antitrust suit against Google is misplaced, Schmidt says. So, it's funny. If you forget about everything that he's saying directly and just read what he's saying and then remember Google Plus. Google Plus makes a lot more sense now why they did Google Plus the way that they did if you believe what he believes about social networks. Like the whole real name thing, for example, it's an amplifier for idiots. Real name policy makes a lot of that go away because...
Doesn't Facebook do that now?
Yeah, kind of.
You can't use a fake name on Facebook, right? No, I mean, some people do, I think.
No,
But
you can't, because I used to have a fake one on there, and it was like, we don't think Moosenhofer is real.
I read somebody leaked an article from one of those law enforcement social media scraping companies about how to create a fake Facebook account to use for that and make it seem real. They had like a step-by-step process to bypass all that stuff. So you
How
can
have we
do
kept
it.
our fake one? Because we have a fake one with a pretty obviously goofy name that we use for testing.
I think it's because that fake one has a developer account.
Oh,
And it's
so
been like, it has several apps.
yeah.
And they're just like, okay, I see what's happening here.
Facebook's desperate to get more information about me because I have almost nothing on it, like at all. And so it's like, where did you go to school? Where do you live? What do you do? Tell us. I get little pop-ups all the time.
Well, Krista, Facebook is looking to expand, and now you've talked about your neighbors some. I don't think you're all that friendly with them. They seem to be kind of just like some stoner college kids.
Yeah, like they're fine, but they're definitely like, you know, a lot younger and they like to party. So.
But when you move into your farm dream house, do you want to get to know all the other farms nearby?
It depends. Like I'm open to it. Like we trade stuff with our neighbors sometimes, but you know, I'm not gonna go up to their door and be like, "Hey, buddy, like just moved in.
You got a cup of sugar?"
Yeah, it's like a little aggressively friendly for my taste. I'm someone who ran from the cheese counter. So.
Oh yeah, that's true. Right. Someone put in my mailbox. They set up a next door for our neighborhood.
Really? Wow.
And I was like, "Come and join the next door."
No.
Yeah.
It's all passive aggressive posts about, you know, you left your trash can out.
Shut your dog up. Oh, that dog. That dog barks from midnight to 4 a.m. every night. I don't.
Wait, you have your neighbor's dog?
It's not like an immediate neighbor, but it's a dog barking. I mean, there's a field between me and them, but it's a dog barking. And I have my window open in these wonderful fall nights. Get the wood smoke coming in.
Yeah.
And the dog barks. Anyway, Facebook wants to take over that part of social media as well.
Facebook is testing many social networks focused on you and your neighbors. Narrator, it went about as well as you would think that it would go.
You know, the first post on there is going to be like, "Hey, everybody, welcome to the neighborhood. I love Trump."
Yeah, it's going to be awkward.
What do you think the over-under is going to be for, you know, the first nonsense story that we do on the Level 1 news that is something really terrible happening that resulted in stabbing or shooting?
This is also going to be people going to be like banging their neighbors, cheating on their spouses through this.
Oh, Wendell, you once said this, and I always thought it was just so wise. You said, "I think that all of like the murders in Eastern Kentucky are probably just over shared driveways," and now we have a new vector to take that murder to the next level.
It's true. It's so true.
We have a shared driveway, and although our neighbors are very nice people, I absolutely hate them.
I mean, we had a shared driveway in one house that we lived in for a while when I was growing up. And like we blacktopped it. Like when we moved in, it was like, you know, garbage can sized potholes and gravel, and it was bad. It was really bad. And it's like we blacktopped it and we did like a bunch of stuff. And then the neighbor was like, "Hey, the culvert's kind of clogged up with trash." And it's like, "That's your trash. You didn't put the trash in the thing. You just set it out."
It's their mail.
Yeah,
their name on it.
Yeah, it's just like,
Well, even if it was like just trash that blew in there and like it wasn't anyone's, like after your neighbor just blacktopped it and resurfaced it, like as a courtesy, wouldn't you just go out there and like pick it up because you didn't have to pay to get it re-blacktopped?
Yeah, it was like, "You want to go halfsies on this?" And they were like, "No." And it's like, "Well, we're going to blacktop it anyway because it's really destroying our cars." And they're like, "Okay." And then it was like, "Oh, there's some trash." And it's like, "That's not even our trash." Like, I watched you dump the trash into the...
I have so like mine's not a driveway. There's actually it has a road name. It's actually a road, but it's one lane and it's only our 5 houses that are on it. And the people at the very end, you know, it's dead end. It just goes to their house. they drive really fast on that road. And the old man at the front went and found an old 25 mile per hour speed limit sign. It's like, it's all beat up and bent. It's like, dude, that's not a real 25 mile per hour speed limit sign. I'm sure that's illegal. You can't just erect your own speed limit. They do drive like crazy, though.
Shared driveways, man. And now you have a new way to yell about it online with that Facebook thing.
Twitter. And our final story, another great one for the comments, and we can trigger Krista again. We talk about
I got baited.
The Biden scandal and the effort that they went to hide it and shut down all of the posts. Who could have predicted what happened when they did that?
The MIT Technology Review reports that Twitter's ban almost doubles attention for that story. And we still don't even understand what the story was about.
But we're going to get a lot of comments about it.
Yeah, we already got a lot of comments about it the other day.
I'm sure.
All right, what do we got Friday?
Well, Krista's favorite combination on Friday is robot and nonsense.
I do love nonsense. Wait, do we not? We've already done security.
Yeah.
Wow, so it's just fun stuff on Friday.
Just fun stuff on Friday, which the world needs, because probably on Friday is when we'll get the results of the election.
Well, it's like we said in the first episode, you get home from work, you take a shower, you don your dark clothing and your gas mask, and it's like, all right, let's go.
While you are filling your Molotovs and filling up your socks with ball bearings, listen to this. All right, Krista, give us a God Bless America goodbye.
No, that's not an eagle, is it? That's more like a crow.
She was...
It should just be like a screech.
She was there Tuesday, and she was like given really low key. The Meyer lady that you just emulated, yeah.
That one, yeah. I was like, the Meyer lady.
That's her sound, and she wasn't doing this. She was like real. It's like she's out of energy. I don't know. Maybe 2020 has ground her down.
That's sad because I always looked forward to her. Welcome.
Yeah. All right. We'll see you Friday, maybe.
I hope so. If not, it's been a good run. We'll see you later.
Yeah, this might be the last episode coming up.
And good luck in November.
Bye. Hello. Today's October 30th, and we're doing robots and nonsense.
Hey, we got the month right today.
I did. Tomorrow I will be in the woods, away from the wars to come for a weekend.
Nice.
Happy Halloween.
Are you scouting bug out locations?
No, I'm doing 16 miles of just hiking around a lake.
Yeah, but while you're hiking, you'd be like, that'd be a good place to go when the riots
hang
come.
out here. Yeah.
Find a water source.
Well, it's near a lake, so.
Wait a minute. Next Tuesday's not election day.
No, I just
Is
realized.
It not? Oh, well, we've been making jokes about
the last
that the
episode.
whole time.
You've already commented on it. Don't worry.
It's too late, chat.
So, remote work. Everybody's doing it. But you might not realize just how inclusive that is. Literally everybody is working remotely. This is crazy, and I don't see anything bad about it.
The BBC News has the headline that is, "The forklift truck drivers who never leave their desks." You should read that mentally with the same inflection that you would read "The men who stare at goats."
So they got the full. That's not 4 individual forklift feeds. This man is not that efficient. It's like a 360 degree. They got 4 cameras covering everything, and they also got a microphone on the forklift. So if someone screams in agony, you'd be like, "Oh!"
I feel like this is the Amazon approach for making the warehouses safer, is to just do all of this, like pull the people out of the warehouses, but the warehouses have to be like faster and more dangerous.
Phantom Auto is the name of this company, and they will actually go in and retrofit your forklifts and get you set up for this. This is my favorite picture. Why is he wearing safety gear?
It's OSHA. It's an OSHA requirement. The laws haven't caught up with the
So yeah, you could get a future in drone forklifting.
Now, once we've got about 5 years of about 100 guys driving the forklift in all these different scenarios, we'll have an incredible data set that we can use to feed to an AI.
and then take their jobs.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
But if something falls off the forklift, what happens?
Oh, we missed the Tesla auto self-driving story. Or is that in robot?
Yeah, it's
Oh, okay. Right. Sorry. I thought that was in business.
yeah, robot needed more.
Okay.
Sometimes if we get one that's a little anemic, I'll move.
I guarantee there were comments on Wednesday that were like, I'm self-driving. You don't want to talk about Tesla's wins. And it's like...
We've established that this week's comment section is already going to be...
Yeah, it's going to be a
Dumpster fire.
nightmare.
Engagement challenge.
Even if we hadn't mentioned anything, I think it would have been a nightmare.
Hey, that's an engagement challenge. Is like, if you like us, but you don't want to participate, just this one time, try to help us rebuff the unwashed masses.
So you can't ask for that
Yeah.
because they'll rebel against it.
That's
It's a natural urge to not do what you guys. It's only the worst of humanity that voluntarily comments. We get some nice comments. It's also human nature to overlook the good ones. We actually get a lot of nice comments, I should say. But it's human nature to overlook those and see the disgusting horridness.
I don't always read them. I do read them sometimes, but sometimes I just kind of...
There's a lot of people who are in love with you, and then a lot of people who just attack you because you're a girl, I think.
Yeah, there's a little bit of mix. Sometimes, I mean, like, they're legit criticisms, but sometimes it's more just like, I don't like you because you're...
Mostly no.
No, I don't think there's a whole lot of legit coming out of those. A lot of people also accuse us of talking over you, and I really try to be conscious about that, but I think it's the technology.
It's the delay, because sometimes I talk over you guys as well.
Anyway, AI tech. It's coming, and you'll never guess where it's coming, because how did the Google people not rebel against this?
They didn't know.
They didn't know yet?
They didn't know yet.
Are they finding out this week?
They're finding out this week. Thanks to Level 1 News.
We might have another story next week about this one.
The Intercept is reporting Google AI tech will be used for virtual border wall, Customs and Border Patrol contract shows. Google Cloud will be used in conjunction with Anduril Industries surveillance tech on the U.S.-Mexico border. Krista, I feel like that's a Lord of the reference.
I was just going to ask her
It is. It's Anduril, I believe, and that's Aragorn's sword in Lord of the Rings.
Oh.
What a miscarriage of the name to use it for this.
Did he use his sword to surveil migrants?
No.
That's weird.
For most of the story, it's actually broken.
Here's one of the polls.
So this also reminds me of, like, in Half-Life, those things that were in the ground monitoring everything. That's basically what this is.
Except it's way up high.
Yeah.
Someone should snap it in half and be like, oh, I was just trying to make it more like the sword.
Well, there's going to be a lot of them. You have to do a lot of snapping. And so they're going to allow ICE to use their data. It's not perfectly clear exactly what they're going to be doing, but they will be definitely using that vision system that they have.
Now, do you think that migrants could defeat that if they're trying to cross the border illegally by carrying a large pane of glass over their head? Because the glass is opaque to the thermal vision.
Well, I don't think it's necessarily going to be individuals, but they also talked about, like, vehicles and stuff like that. So the Coyote... If he drives the same truck every time, the AI is going to be like, hey, this truck shows up every Wednesday.
I think they already have that for the highways.
But this is just over the border, like off-road.
Yeah.
So these are going to be stuck in the ground at intervals, and it's going to be huge coverage. It's going to be real tough for people on foot who are dying of thirst to contend against the AI eye in the sky, especially from Google. Now, speaking of facial recognition, an interesting thing, when you build a weapon, you don't get to choose who uses it.
The New York Times reports that activists turn facial recognition tools against their creators, or I forget the headline, against the police. So this is a story about a guy out in Portland. Things are real dicey in Portland. This is an individual, a protester. He's kind of been a prolific protester. They've permitted law enforcement in Portland to cover up their name tags. So if you're shooting video...
I don't think it's allowed, but they just don't punish it.
Yeah, so if you're shooting video or something like that and, you know, like violence erupts and it's like, okay, there's 17 different angles of this. Let's figure out the police officers that were involved. It's harder to do that because all the identifying marks in their uniform are covered. Well, this guy is using face recognition for that. Portland, of course, banned face recognition. So this guy said, hey, as a citizen, can I still use that? And they got clarification from the mayor that while creepy, yes, you can totally do that.
And he's putting together, much like, what's the name of the company that scrapes social media?
Clearview.
Clearview. He's doing like a Clearview type thing where he finds social media pictures of the officers and then matches them up. So, and everybody's wearing face covering now, especially the cops. But he claims to be able to put them together just based on the visible parts because he's got these social media libraries.
The article author here also drew a parallel in that somebody in Hong Kong did this with the Hong Kong police who was summarily arrested and then abandoned the project.
He's disappeared.
There's certain parallels there. I can't help but notice.
And clearly the police would like that to happen. This guy probably should stop going to protests. Because there might be an accident.
Oh, he was accidentally shot by this, barbecue meat joint owner. Oh, sorry.
We have investigated ourselves and found no wrongdoing.
Oh, he took a rubber bullet. How unfortunate. Well, but the powder burns on his face show it was 2 inches away. Yeah, so like you said, Tesla. They got the big full self-driving. Who gets it? Tesla's choosing that. They call them cautious and excellent drivers. How do you determine that? Well, harvesting every data point from the car probably helps. So does that not give you the idea? They're issuing a driver credit score.
Yeah.
Wouldn't you love to know what your driver credit score is? Yours would be terrible.
Yeah.
You pick up your phone.
Yeah. Well, mine would be terrible because I hit the curb the other day on going through the bank drive-through. Well, somehow.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they were doing work in one of the things and they had a cone out and I was like, I'll swerve to avoid the cone. And it was very slow. I mean, it was like 1 mile an hour, but I scraped the side on the curb because I was trying to avoid the cone.
Well, that doesn't really endanger other drivers, though.
But still,
that cone, though, has a word to say to you.
I misjudged the fatness of the vehicle by about an inch.
You've never recovered from the old vehicle being your standard.
Yeah.
Anyway, if you're lucky enough to get this, you get some new features. Supposedly, it's good enough to drive almost anywhere. Bring it to rural eastern Kentucky. Let's see what it can do there.
Really test it,
I guarantee it won't.
Tesla starts full self-driving beta rollout. Elon Musk says it will be extremely slow and cautious for the beta rollout. So the big difference with this self-driving update is that they completely reworked the AI. So now all of the cameras work together and the AI retains temporal context. Whereas before, it would use only the 2D frames from one camera. It now uses things like parallax. It can take into account parallax as things move to judge distance and things like that. It reproduces a 3D understanding of the environment and maintains that 3D understanding of the environment from all the cameras, like 6 cameras in all, around the car. And so some of the early reports from this are very, very good, that it's impressive. It can drive without lanes and avoid vehicles that are parked on the side and blah, blah, blah.
We'll see. I expect it'll take about 2 to 3 weeks to get videos of people abusing it.
I think it'll take 2 to 3 weeks to get the first video of it doing something bad and causing property damage.
Well, they say it's going really slow, right? Will it just be like a traffic jam behind one little Tesla?
That's the other thing. Are Teslas now going to become the tractors?
No, I think the slow is that when it doesn't know, it just proceeds really slowly.
Yeah, well, that's still,
like depending on how its confidence is. Well, it talked about how it was the car was moving really rapidly in a roundabout, and the passenger in the car was like screaming because the car looked like it was about to rear end a bunch of parked cars on the side of the roundabout, but it had actually switched into the lane where the parked cars were to go around something in front of it. The predictive thing showed that it knew that the cars were parked in the roundabout, and it knew that it was in a roundabout, and that the maneuver that the car proposed was perfectly reasonable, but the occupants of the car thought it was doing it a little too fast.
Just drive your car. Jesus. Now, in these uncertain times, you might be feeling a little down. Krista, what would you say your anxiety level is?
I was saying it was like all right, but I had some weird nightmares last night, so apparently not great. I've just repressed it now.
You think your subconscious is now taking it on, absorbing
it's just like okay, we're just gonna ignore this. We're gonna play Phasmophobia, and then at night you'll have horrible nightmares.
Well, this doesn't help you because you're not Singaporean. That doesn't seem right.
That sounds right. No, I think that sounds right. Yeah.
That's what it says in the headlines.
Could be like, no.
Singaporean, yeah, but it's not our way of saying it. It's the Straight Times way of saying it. They have a new avenue for dealing with these uncertain times.
New emotionally intelligent chatbot to help Singaporeans stressed by the thing.
It's Temasek? Is that a penguin?
It looks like a penguin. At first I thought it was like one of those little like mushroom dudes from Fantasia, because the building in the background kind of makes it look like the cap, but it is just a penguin, I think.
Do they have penguins in Singapore?
I think so.
They use Linux there, right? Sure, at least someone does.
Well, anyway, it's an AI, and if you want, you can talk to it, and it'll give you, like some reassurances about how to deal with the nightmare that is our current world. If you're into that sort of thing. And finally, I thought this was going to be like a thing you could attach to your own door. No, it's not that. It's a crazy promotional thing, and this is on prnewswire.com. This is the crazy promotional website. I don't... Yeah. How many cities do you think this will go to?
One. This was an ad agency stunt.
You think there's
they had some leftover money in their budget.
And we got baited into featuring it.
You think there's exactly one of these?
Yeah.
Well...
Forget the tricks. Reese's brand brings the treats with this robotic Halloween door. So it's literally a Halloween door on a scooter, and it has a mail slot that dispenses king-size candy bars.
Is it Reese's or Reese's?
Reese's.
I always say Reese's, but I think that it's just Reese's.
Reese's.
But my family says we also say Reese Pieces.
It's Rhesus Monkeys, Reese's Pieces.
Reese Pieces.
So, yeah, this thing is it's gonna come to your town. It's mobile. It plays music and it emits fog. And then it comes to your door. And if you say trick or treat, it gives you candy.
Look at the little kid in the cow costume.
This is gonna fall on a child.
I have never seen a costume I've loved so much as this giant fat cow.
Where?
Is that a still picture?
Yeah. Go down, scroll down to the pictures, and then it's the second photo if you click on it.
Oh.
Look how happy.
It doesn't even line up with his face. Oh, that's one of those positive pressure outfits, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's cute.
So I put this in the robot section. Actually, it's just remote control. There's actually an operator who can be, what was it, like 500 yards away?
Who will run over the children?
How many cups or packages of cups you think that is in the hopper there?
The size of that thing could store hundreds, if not, over 1,000.
But they're king size.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you think a kid opens that up and it's just like the little tiny cups and they're like, oh, not king size? And they just throw it at the door?
9 feet. Built-in Bluetooth speaker. It's a long way to go to get, what's it, like $1.50 for one of those candies? The story is, well, let's get some more comments here. Let me disagree with Krista on another thing. This is terrible, and I'm not saying that it's not terrible. But is this different than, for example, painting this?
Oh, yeah, that's a good question.
Krista?
With the painting, I guess it depends on how well it's done, but like a painting, generally speaking, you're going to be able to tell that it's not real. If an image like this circulates, like that can really screw with your job chances, because it's like, how do I know if it's real or not? That's the reality we're coming to, though, is like, how do we know what images and videos are real?
That's true.
We need statutory protection. It's like, if you discover somebody's nude pictures on social media, that makes them a protected class.
Well, let's do the headline because people don't know what we're talking about.
Deepfake bot on Telegram is violating women by forging nudes from regular pics. Free, easy, and requiring just a single photo, the deepfake bot has produced more than 100,000 fake pornographic images publicly posted online for anyone to see. I really like the clip art that they did because it's
yeah.
It explains what's going on really well.
And it does it tastefully.
Yeah.
You can tell what's going on there, even though there are no actual like genitals or breasts on display. Now here's where this is going to go. And this, I'm predicting, here's another story prediction. And this is dark. But so Krista pointed out a pretty good idea there. It's like, okay, job description. or a job application. You go in and it's going to be like, oh, listen, we found these pictures online. And the woman's going to be like, oh, no. That's a deep fake. I was just jogging in the park. And that's not actually I don't look like that naked. And the guy's going to go like, I'm going to need to see.
Well, and the other thing too is like, I mean, ideally, it wouldn't matter, but like people do Google you when you apply for a job. And even if this was a dude, like this might make you think twice about hiring them if they have naked pictures all over the internet. Because it's like, a client's going to Google that.
But I don't know I guess if they got the image from social media, they would know your name.
Yeah, it's...
So, yeah, but
this not ideal.
This appears to be mostly random. They're just pulling random pictures and they're not really like tying it to anybody. They're just creating random nudes and flooding the internet with them. What if the way to combat this is that everybody gets deep fake nudes and we never know what's real and what isn't from now on?
I think that's where we're going though. Like that's the reality. Like next election cycle, deep fake video is going to be good enough that like you can't trust anything.
Well, most people don't trust anything now, so
I think that yeah, I mean, ultimately, none of that. Even now, I think with the laws we have today, that the rules could totally be, does having naked pictures of you online mean that you're going to do this job better or worse? And I think the answer is it doesn't matter.
But you can't prove that that's why they chose not to hire you.
Oh yeah,
that's going to be impossible to enforce.
Well, and imagine too. So like you're hiring someone to say for like a sales position, and maybe your clientele is normally really sort of conservative or something, and to say they look up their salesperson and there's naked pictures of the salesperson online, like, would they hire someone for that? Like if they know that that's there?
In something competitive like real estate, it will totally be the case that you have one realtor who generates fake naked pictures of another realtor in order to sabotage the other realtor.
I
mean, it's crazy to even have to think like that, but like,
do you know that
the dystopia we're in now?
Do you know that Abraham Lincoln did that? He bought newspapers and anonymously trashed his political opponents, and when he was a lawyer, he would go after the other people in the cases.
Wow.
It's been going on for a long time, folks.
The only solution is to just not engage, and it's getting so hard to not engage.
But Christy, if you're walking Rue, you could be hit by this.
I know.
So there's no opting out of this. Well,
you just have to wear like really baggy clothes, so it's harder.
They said that this could do t-shirt and shorts. Like most of the women were in bikinis or like sports bras or whatever, but it could do t-shirt and shorts. In August, are you gonna not wear a t-shirt and shorts when you're walking your dog?
It is rough here in August without shorts.
Well,
I'm gonna have to put a 30-foot wall around the compound.
They'll fly a drone over that. You can't stop them. On a bright note, Flippy. Everybody loves Flippy. Name me one person who doesn't love Flippy.
Flippy's being mass produced.
Flippy is not only is Flippy being mass produced, but Flippy, since we last talked about him, has learned so much.
Flippy, the $30,000 automated robot fast food cook, is now for sale with demand through the roof. See how it grills burgers and fries and onion rings.
That feels like it should be like a lyric to a song.
I think our graphics driver just crashed.
Uh-oh.
It's back. I think we're okay. So, okay. Click away from that. There you go. Flippy, there he is. Now, his upgrades include running on this track, this overhead track, so that he can work multiple stations. Yes, that's a deep fryer. He deep fries now.
And yes, that's a weird code of visual audio something.
Those little icons.
It's not QR codes, but it's like a visual indicator so that the camera can lock on and be like, oh, I know how to deal with this.
He can now swap out his spatulas to keep clean ones and just rotate them into the wash. He can make 19 different kinds of foods. He can tell the difference between a beef burger and a plant-based burger.
Nice.
Huh.
So, look at that.
There he is
cleaning his grill.
So there's some more jobs wiped out.
He's
not that they paid well in the first place, but
doing some deep frying. A lot of sports arenas have bought Flippy because obviously you got to crank out a lot.
Yeah.
And so they'll do that. At White Castle, he works at White Castle now. Yeah, look at all these foods that Flippy can make. It's amazing.
Chicken rings.
As a technical achievement, it is actually really incredible.
I want to credit the engineer who came up with chicken rings. It's like, we're going to sell you less chicken. You're not going to notice because we're going to give it to you in ring format, and now we'll get our nuggets for free. Brilliant.
This is making me hungry. I haven't eaten lunch. I had oatmeal this morning, and that's it.
You know, when the robots take over, they will raise Flippy up as, like, you know, one of the precursor robot gods because of the way that he slowly killed humanity with all these fried foods.
Yeah.
It's a master stroke in robot destruction.
Or humanity evolves to be strong against fried foods.
I don't think that's working. We've been eating them for quite a while. They're still bad for us. Well, here's one that we certainly showcased this week. When you talk about politics, people get riled up.
Tensions over politics at work have HR on guard. Is it going to be an HR complaint? We saw the Coinbase thing where the Coinbase thing was like, do you feel passionately about what's happening around you? Get out.
Do you feel like you should have a stake in the society around you? No, you are only a worker.
So they're talking about how people are reporting that even when you say don't deal with politics, people learn other people's politics. A lot of people are really vocal about it. And when that happens, they don't want to work together on projects. They avoid each other, and it boils over, especially in these election times.
If you can get stabbed over what brand of video card you want, ... That's a fake story.
I don't know.
It was fake.
Maybe our office is just sort of jaded, but like I feel like we can argue over politics, but then it's like, let's just face it, it's all terrible, right? We're all going to get screwed, and then we all laugh and go back to doing what we were doing.
It is funny how many people in the comments try to ascribe, something we say as to being strongly one thing or the other, and it's like, no, I'm for reason, like reasonableness and like reason, and there is nothing in the world that makes me think that there's any hope for that.
When we get both barrels in the same comment section, I feel like we did the right thing.
Yeah. It's like, oh, well, apparently we managed to like somehow split it right down the middle.
Yeah, if both groups of unreasonable people hate you, you're doing something right.
Excellent.
Some more good news, or at least an accomplishment that we can be proud of as a human. I mean, this is a pretty amazing thing that our space program has done.
The video from this is incredible. NASA's OSIRIS-REx collects sample from surface of asteroid Bennu. So it landed on the it looked like it was like, oh, this is going to be a hard landing. It was not a hard landing. The rocks went everywhere, and it was evident that asteroid did not have very much gravity at all.
So it kind of like just swooped down and like somewhat hovered, but then blasted the surface with some kind of gas to stir stuff up, and then collected the sample and swooped back out. And it pinned its solar panels back to protect them. Really cool. And it did all of this under automation because it's an 18-minute round trip for commands to go to this guy. So they just like, here's your landing program. Initiate.
Here's your objective.
And he took care of it.
So we'll be able to collect this material in like 2023.
Well, they're gonna. So they got to figure out if he got enough. And yes, we've assigned him a gender. I don't know why, but we did. If he didn't get enough in January, he's going back in. But if he did get enough, he decouples the collection pod, and that comes back.
Nice.
Incredible.
I have some support for the robot is male. It's Rex.
What are we gonna do if the rock comes back and there's a little tiny mollusk fossil?
Probably nothing.
I was thinking more along the lines of the Andromeda strain, but
whichever tribe collects it from the ruins of NASA will probably try to sell it to a warlord. Krista, I imagine you're young enough or old enough, I guess I would say, that you watched Charlie Brown during the holidays, right? Yeah, I mean that was something that you could set your watch to it when it got to be.
Rudolph. Rudolph always
Yeah.
came on like later in the season.
October, the Great Pumpkin. It was
Right.
just, it was on. It was going to be on. Well, times change.
It's the Great Pumpkin. Charlie Brown won't air on broadcast TV, but will stream on Apple TV Plus for free. That didn't encourage anybody to subscribe to Apple TV Plus.
No.
I got the impression that Peanuts sold the rights, right? Or
His family must have.
Or is NBC just not interested anymore? It wasn't obvious. Or maybe I overlooked it. Anyway, the end of an era.
That's kind of sad if you're a family that lives, in an area like where we grew up and there's no internet, so you can't really stream TV.
In an
You don't
area
even get to watch Charlie Brown.
in an area where you can still watch Andy Griffith.
Oh, yeah. That always came on at the same time every day.
Pretty sure it still does. Although I haven't been back there in a while to watch TV. Be sad if
TV
that
is
was also
terrible.
gone.
Yeah.
When I went home to visit my mom recently, I was like, wow, I forgot how bad this really is.
Yeah.
There was no Charlie Brown. It was just reality TV.
What do you think they're going to run in
All
place
day.
of Charlie Brown this year?
Nicki Minaj's Fun House or something.
It's probably, it's
Wet
probably
ass
just like
pumpkins.
one long giant ad.
Yeah.
Oh, chess. Chess is a game that takes a lot of skill and a lot of memorization, let's be fair. And you know what's really good at memorizing every possible move combination? Computers. That creates an issue.
Chess's cheating crisis. Paranoia has become the culture. As the game enjoys a boom online, players ranging from grandmasters to preteens are getting caught computer doping. So yeah, it's like you can play a live game of chess, but if you're playing the game against the computer off screen, then, the computer can suggest moves, and it's like, oh, that's a good move. I should do that.
So, obviously, you're not doing in-person chess tournaments right now
Right.
Mostly.
in these uncertain times. So they've gone to some crazy lengths to prevent cheating, and that shows you that how hard a chess nerd will go to cheat. So you might have to have a person come to your home and sit and watch you, or you might have to have multiple cameras like 360 cameras. You might have to have eye tracking, because if you have a forward-facing camera, it'd be easy to have another screen behind that, and you're just like, and the screen could be recording that and then repeating the game. They go to great lengths, and how do you stop it? Well, they just have all these different crazy ways of attempting it.
I can't help but notice this little piece of the article. An Armenian grandmaster booted out for suspicious play accused his opponent of, quote, doing pee-pee in his Pampers, quote. Was
Is that
was he
'cause he's
booted for the
scared?
comment, or
I don't know.
doing pee-pee? They spelled it weird. They
he's
spelled
not
it P-I-P-I.
He's not a native English speaker.
But, I mean, the article writer would have
That was a
been.
quote, right?
Yeah, but usually if there's, like, a misspelling, they'll put, like, S-I-C to indicate that they know it's a misspelling, but...
Well, it was probably a text quote. He was probably chatting in the chess thing.
I don't know, this is some lazy editing on here.
They're not all Kyle Wiggers, Krista.
It can't all be.
This was, I think, Krista, you mentioned this was your favorite article this week. I think it might be mine as well, just because if anything encapsulate the darkness that we live in, and the corporate power. People throw around the whole fascist word, and I don't think not a lot of people get it in, like what it really is. It really is just government and corporate power crushing freedom.
The monetization of literally everything.
So here we go.
Proprietary grapes come with draconian end-user license agreement. The recipient of the produce contained in this package agrees not to propagate or reproduce any portion of this produce, including but not limited to seeds, stems, tissues, and fruit. So if you buy these grapes, you can't plant them or reproduce them. See, it's weird though, because like these grapes wouldn't be reproducible anyway. If you planted these, they're probably not going to germinate, even if they are seeded grapes. Although they might be seedless.
Most produce at the grocery store is treated with a spray that will keep it from sprouting. So like, I've had an onion on my countertop in the sun for like probably 2 weeks now, and it still hasn't sprouted.
Well,
but, this is next level.
You can graft it. So like if you've got a good grape root system, you could graft those onto the root system, and then it would start to grow. And that's how you can, maintain a variety or
But
whatever.
It's probably like a 99% failure rate, right?
Yeah.
So if you bought a bunch of grapes and got one through, now you've got a viable plant.
And then you've got a lawsuit on your hands. What's crazy is I just planted a bunch of garlic I brought from the store, and it is sprouting. So, I mean, you could say I'm a criminal, chat.
Like, oh, they're not going to sue an individual. And then we had that guy on Twitter that was like, you should be paying royalties for streaming games.
Never mind that you purchased the game to play in the first place, but...
This site doesn't care that I've turned off the ad blocker. It still won't let me in. I don't remember what the live science story was. I guess we'll never know. It's in the one tab. Make up your own commentary for that story. That's too bad. This was just abject stupidity. I guess it's good for a PR stunt, and yeah, we're talking about it. But is it really even space?
British supermarket launched a chicken nugget into space. Well, it was the edge of space.
Near space.
Iceland Foods launched a chicken nugget.
And launch isn't even, is launch the right word? They sent it up on a balloon.
Well, they sent it up on a weather balloon, and then the weather balloon had a module or something, but it was also a camera and some other stuff in addition to the chicken nugget.
See, I think this is all just a lie. You can see the cables.
Well, he had to have a parachute, Krista. They couldn't let him fall to the earth.
What, would you die? You'd definitely die if a chicken nugget came hurtling out of the sky.
No,
there's not enough.
Yeah.
The terminal velocity of a chicken nugget's not going to be that big.
Yeah, because our atmosphere is very thick. So,
and also, it might even break up.
Got to burnt to a crisp.
Just warmed, yeah.
Crispy nuggies.
But it still somehow
frozen. It didn't get high enough for that, right?
What?
It didn't get high enough for that, did it?
Yeah. Yeah.
So it had like a heat shield or something?
No, I think that'll hit the terminal velocity before the air moving past it would be enough to heat it up significantly.
Oh, okay. Wow.
Nugget traveled through Earth's atmosphere to an altitude of 110,000 feet. It floated in the region known as near space.
I don't even know really what they're advertising here.
Icelandic foods.
Our
nuggets are out of this world.
Are people not buying nuggets? Nuggets are always going to be a big seller, right?
Who knows?
We do buy them a lot. They're such an easy food. Like, you just throw them in the oven and forget about them.
Well, if you do that, Krista, you'll have a house fire.
Well, you forget about them for like 20 minutes when they cook, and then you're done.
Notice that I put this story in the nonsense section.
Atari just crashed the PS5 party with a brand new console. The PS5 is going to have to compete against Atari's new VCS games console this November. No, this isn't a repeat of like the story we did 2-3 years ago. It's like, oh, look, Atari. We're coming back. We're banking on the nostalgia.
Spoiler alert, it's a computer. Literally, it's an AMD something. Like a Ryzen something. And an AMD graphics card. Oh, they don't say which one. Just AMD Ryzen CPU and AMD Radeon GPU.
It's probably one of those APUs with 8 gigs of RAM.
Yeah, 8 gigs of RAM, and it runs Linux. It's literally just a little computer.
Yeah.
Notice that the marketing photo down toward the bottom, it's a picture of young kids playing these games, and I'm like, is that really your market here?
No.
Is the young kid going to run out and be like, Dad, get me the little Atari thing, please. I need to play these games.
I don't know what this is going to cost, but you could get like a NUC with an Atari emulator.
We should do a video.
Now, that wouldn't be legal.
Well,
Atari
it would be if you got the cartridges.
Pre-order.
I definitely still have some Atari cartridges.
There'd be a little more to it, though, to read the cartridge.
Yeah.
It says $389 directly from Atari. Hang on. I'll click on the website.
We're gonna get a Raspberry Pi for $35. We're gonna 3D print a case.
Pre-order. There's a thing on the website. You can get it in different colors.
They are gonna have some newer game releases, probably like mobile games or something, that would take a little bit more horsepower than a Raspberry Pi. It's gonna need the accelerated graphics for something.
Wow.
Have you seen how fast the new Raspberry Pi is? You can play Quake 2 at like 100 FPS.
I didn't quite believe that, so I went to their website, and it is indeed that expensive.
Yeah, probably won't sell many of those, but remember Master P's?
The controllers are like $60 a piece.
Remember Master P's gaming system? And it was just that Chinese emulator.
Oh, yeah.
This is kind of like that. Yeah. Although you are going to get real parts, it seems like. So I don't know.
Got this nice wood grain console.
I mean, compare that horsepower with the PlayStation, Xbox offerings. It's not close. So in response to the Hunter Biden stuff, the left threw this out. I think this is also a political move. Although I will say, it wouldn't surprise me if Rudy Giuliani was a lecherous piece of garbage.
Rudy Giuliani faces questions after a compromising scene in new Borat film. Trump's personal attorney has an indiscreet encounter with an actor playing Borat's daughter in a hotel room during the pandemic.
So it's a very short scene. Oh, did they seriously not have it?
It wasn't. I don't know when this was published, but I think they just released it on Netflix like yesterday.
No, but the still image. Every article I saw had the still image.
I had the image.
She's standing in front of him. You see her back. He's laying on the bed, like laying back in the bed, reaching into his pants.
But the thing that I saw, they were like, "Oh, he was just tucking in his shirt," and I'm like, who lays on the bed to tuck their shirt in?
Another thing I saw said that he was removing recording equipment. Like he had the mic pack in his pants.
In the front?
No. They did point out that although in the movie she is a 14-year-old girl, which have you heard about that movie? Like the premise is Borat comes back to America to offer his 14-year-old daughter to Mike Pence. That's brilliant. So she's supposed to be a 14-year-old girl. She's actually 24. So even if Rudy Giuliani was tricked into thinking there was some sort of sex act coming, then
that would have been fine.
It would have been legal.
Consenting adults and all that.
Disgusting? Yes.
Yes, absolutely.
Illegal? No.
He did, I guess the guy who plays Borat, like, ran into the room and was like, she's too old for you, stop.
We always want to throw in as many animal stories as we can get. This one is, it's funny. I wish they had a video because I would have liked to have watched these little guys. I think the bystander who caught these images did not shoot a video, unfortunately.
Hand over the trash. Raccoons break into a California bank. The pair were noticed causing havoc inside a bank by the customer withdrawing money outside the building.
I guess the bank was closed. Look at that. Sir, we need to talk about your 401k. You're overdrawn.
About your car's extended warranty.
But yeah, it turns out that they went in, there was a tree that had access to the ventilation system, and then they walked on the false ceiling and fell through. What a fun time.
The old 1-2 caper.
They just hustled them out. They didn't even capture them.
That would be I would be thrilled if I was the wildlife control person who got called to this job.
They said they took them a while to catch them. I guess they're a lot of hiding places in a bank. We've done a couple of stories about these calls, and not just the ones that are in this. They're talking about the calls where it's like, "Hey, I live in a really nice neighborhood, and there's a black guy. What's he doing?" Did we do the story about who was the actress? She was doing yeah, we did that story. She was like a big Black Lives Matter outspoken person on Twitter. And then the black kid with the BB gun showed up in her yard, and she couldn't call the cops fast enough. He doesn't belong here. So those kinds of calls are a problem, and they clog up 911. And people also call 911 about like when their fast food order is wrong or whatever. And San Francisco wants to do something about it.
The board in San Francisco is pushing the Karen Act forward to ban racist 911 calls. 911 calls.
911.
When you call the Porsche dealership to report
How long
racism.
for the time around then?
Every time I see, I don't know.
Caution against racially exploitative non-emergencies.
See, it says banning it, but really what they mean is just finding people to do that.
Yeah. In some ways, it's probably not good to make your population afraid to call 911, but it is phenomenally stupid. some of these calls.
Yeah.
I mean, you really should know the difference between an emergency and... if anything, I mean, this is still not okay, but if you are not in any immediate danger, you call the police, not 911.
The other thing is, whenever you're, in one of these situations, like, doing this dehumanizes the other party, and that's opening the door to some really dark and sinister things to be able to happen. When you don't think of the other person as a human being, then it gets crazy.
Or you assume that they don't have the right to be doing whatever it is they're doing.
Yeah.
Like, it's not up to you to decide what other people get to do.
That's not an emergency, like, help me, I'm going to die situation.
We talk a lot about not committing crimes on social media and not admitting to crimes on social media. You should probably never admit to a crime. It's almost never in your best interest to do that, but really, really stupid to do it on social media.
Rapper who bragged about unemployment scam arrested in Las Vegas for unemployment scam. Wah, wah.
Shocking.
Pro criminal tip.
So this guy figured out it was something to do with the pandemic assistance program, and because that was getting this was, by the way, Nuke Blizzy.
Right.
You guys know
Yes.
Nuke
No, I
Blizzy,
didn't.
right?
I didn't recognize
I know,
this.
absolutely.
You don't know Nuke Blizzy? He's with Fat Wizza. So they figured out this stuff was getting pushed through really quickly. There wasn't a lot of oversight. So they had access to a bunch of different addresses and mailboxes. So they just signed up at all of them, different names. And they showed up. And they cashed them out. Made like $500,000, I think.
I feel like this is going to be, like, used as an example for why the rest of America shouldn't get more, assistance with the current situation, which is very bad. Because there are people out there that are not trying to scam the system that actually do need some kind of help.
Another article has been removed?
Yeah, this one's gone. What was this? Do you remember?
I don't.
I do like their 404 page, but not relevant to the discussion at hand.
I feel like we're losing a lot of stories today.
This
poor
time
guy's,
next week, the whole story is going to be like that. It's just every story is just going to be deleted.
poor guy's immortalized. His failure.
Did you like their little comment? We appreciate the gravity of the situation. As the guy falls.
And another story about government silence and hypocrisy and corruption. The big story here is the fact that bigtrial.net is the only place covering this. This has been a complete media blackout because they didn't want to embarrass this young man.
Big trial. DA's gun violence counselor shoots and kills male prostitute by Ralph Cipriano. He's probably going to be targeted. It's not good. So this is the DA's gun violence counselor. And according to the police report, he met somebody in a cemetery for sex.
He hooked it up on Instagram.
But it was paid sex. And then the guy robbed him, or attempted to rob him, with a gun. But he put his gun down. And so when he put his gun down, the DA gun violence guy shot him. And he died.
Which, how hilarious that the DA gun violence guy's carrying a gun. So, the guy put the gun in his belt to take the money because he was robbing him. And this guy, the prostitute, had a huge rap sheet of doing this over and over.
Oh, yeah. He was out on bail, wasn't he?
It was one of those bail programs where they, like, reduced the bail to clear out because of the vid. It's an avalanche of bad government decisions here. Just, like, cresting into a town. But the thing about it is, all right, that's self-defense, right? No problem there. No problem with that shooting. Somebody pulls a gun on you and tries to rob you, you shoot them. Hey, yeah, legal gun, registered to him, carrying it legally. But this was a complete media blackout. They did not allow this to be reported anywhere.
You said that, but when I looked up the guy's name, I found like 5 stories about it.
Well, it's been leaked now. This was on the 21st.
Oh, okay.
But if you read the article, at the time, the DA's office agreed that none of this would get out because it could be embarrassing to him. And then there was some stuff about like, oh, we don't want to out him as being gay because he could be targeted by that or something. I don't know. They used that as the excuse. But really, it was about the DA's office looking really bad in terms of, like the shooting counselor shooting somebody. Pro gun owner tip. When you carry a gun, you instantly lose every argument. You have to be willing to eat other people's crap, because if you pull that gun, you get it's a terrible, terrible thing that will happen to you after that, even if you're in the right. So another situation where I would advise, really thinking it through when you're carrying a gun, Instagram prostitutes.
Probably shouldn't do that.
Don't mix the two.
Yeah. That's already kind of dangerous to begin with. I mean,
they also didn't charge him with the prostitution crime.
Well, he admitted it.
I'm going to go rob a bank, but I'll admit it. So, no charges.
That's kind of the way it works anymore, right? As long as you have enough money to cover it. At least he admitted it.
Well, this gentleman, he admitted what he did, and he will have to still pay the price, because this is actually not allowed, in case you didn't know.
Fort Worth Star Telegram says, man who owns a Fort Worth house performed castration. Said he was a cannibal. Police say.
Rue kind of made a little sad.
So, yeah. Well, I think we did another story about this a while back. There is a sort of a scene online where some people want to perform castrations and other people want castrations.
You need to legalize it so it can be regulated. I don't know.
Is that something? I mean, I guess it's good that they don't breed, right? So they hooked up. The doctor, quote unquote doctor, paid the airfare, and he was like, "No, I'll do it for free. You can stay at the house. Everything will be fine." So it sounded like they did this without putting him out, just local anesthetic, and gave him some shots. Performed the castration, and they said they were joking with him during it. It was like, "Oh yeah, we're going to eat these because we're cannibals." And then that guy claimed that later on he was bleeding, and he was like, "Guys, I need to go to the hospital." And they were like, "No, you don't. Do you want to eat some human flesh?" Eventually, they were forced to take him to the hospital because they couldn't stop the bleeding. I think the other article we did, the guy died.
Yeah. This guy survived?
Yeah, this guy's good. They had to do more surgery on him at the hospital to fix the bad surgery. But I mean, it's not like he's going back to normal. He is now a castrated man.
Whoops.
They charged these other two dudes with a bunch of crimes, including operating without a license. That's a weird one to go to prison. It's like, what are you in for?
Operating without a license.
There's a lot of, if you scroll down to the bottom of this page, a lot of related stories about cannibals. And it's like, what? Why are there so many cannibal stories in 2020?
We're not getting
cannibals. We have a Mitch McConnell story.
I'll read the 3 related stories from the Fort Worth Star Telegram. National news.
Are, yeah.
Accused grinder cannibal passes out in jail after not eating enough, Michigan cops say. Dark web cannibal planning to eat teenage girl met undercover cop instead, feds say. Man cannibalizing his 90-year-old grandmother is worst thing we've ever seen, California cops say.
Wow.
The dark web one sounds like the other story, although that was in September. I don't think it was that recently, but it seems like there are people.
There's so many.
There are people who want to be eaten. What is that?
Chat, if you're into that, explain your thought. Actually, don't put that in the comments.
Don't announce crimes on social media. I'm not sure if that's a crime, but I think agreeing to let someone eat you probably is, as crazy as that sounds. And finally, a dark story, but our international viewers will love it because they love to make these types of comments about Americans. And I got to admit, this doesn't look good as far as playing into the stereotype.
Not a proud day.
This is on 12 on your side, so this is like a local news. 500-pound body causes fire at Henrico Crematory. So this is a guy who died and wanted to be cremated, and 500 pounds of fat, it burns. It overwhelmed the crematory.
Set the roof on fire.
Whoops.
I mean, the best. There's a picture down here. Do you see there's a chicken nuggets advertisement in the corner?
Oh, we got the ad blocker on.
Oh no, it's a blaze, and then it's got the picture above it. but then there's the chicken nugget. Like, no, it's in the picture.
Their insurance is probably not going to pay that either because there was probably a thing in the machine.
Yeah, you're talking about right here. Yeah, the chicken nugget. How messed
Something
up.
Smells good over here.
You gotta be. Which one do you think came first, the crematorium or the fast food place next to it?
The crematorium is probably low key. Like you probably wouldn't notice it.
I'd be like, I smell like what's that, batter and chicken, and there's something else.
That's the special
I
sauce.
can't quite put my finger on it, but it smells delicious.
It's like Carl's Jr. crematorium.
Rude.
All right, that's all the news we've got for this week. Thanks again to Linode.
Do you got some Rue showcase for us there?
They can probably hear her. My mic's probably. She's just sitting in the back going.
Yeah, we can hear her.
Yeah. What's the matter? What do you want? She never answers. It's like she doesn't speak English.
She's adorable with those floppy ears folded forward like that.
She's been like passed out up until this last story. She woke up and was like, "What are you doing? Are you ready to go eat?" Okay, we're gonna go eat.
Can you get Rue to say goodbye?
Rue, can you talk? Oh, woo 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 woo. She like kind of looked down, like, "What are you? Why are you saying that? Can you speak?" Woof. Okay. All right. No, she's not doing it.
All right. Well, that's good enough.
That's good enough.
We will see you next week, hopefully, and good luck in November.
Bye, chat.